Tyria. The dragons have always been here, sleeping deep beneath the earth, beneath the sea, waiting for the time to rise. 100 years ago, the drowned empire of Or rose from the sea at a dragon's command. A dragon whose name is written in the legends of the dwarves. A dragon known as Zaitan. His soulless army surged from the waters, hungry for destruction. Our ancestors fought against the tide, but Zaitan's power was too great. We have learned from those defeats. We learned that no single nation can fight alone and succeed. The 5 races must stand together against their enemies and refuse to surrender. Heroes come together in glory, discovering new magic, new technology that will save our world. It is time for legends to become real. Now is the time. Claim your destiny. Forge your legend.
Hi everybody, and welcome to the 5th anniversary episode of Guild Chat. Happy birthday to Guild Wars 2, and thanks to all of you who have been sending us birthday wishes today. We're going to just spend the next couple of hours hanging out with members of the Guild Wars 2 team and talking about our memories of the past 5+ years of Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars 2 development. We're going to start with these 3 guys, but we do have a little goodie to show off first. This feels kind of fitting because this little dude's turned into kind of our unofficial mascot. Not a word out of you. But
he's cute.
it is super cute. We Love Fine has been working on these little Quaggan coffee mugs for a while now, and just in time for our birthday, they got one to us for, I guess, pre-order. You can pre-order or reserve these if you go to We Love Fine and do a search for Quaggan mug. And they will have these, they wanted us to let you know, they will have these shipped in plenty of time for the holidays. So if that's a thing that you guys want to drink your morning coffee out of a Quaggan, we have... I know everybody's been wishing for that. You have got to stop that.
Quaggan crazy.
The cavernous
Or if
skull.
you're Bobby and you want to get, what did you say, a brain jello mold?
No, I think Peter said that. Right?
I'm-
I said turning
No,
it
it
into
was-
a
it
stein.
was
to where
definitely
the-
you.
Never mind.
Or if you're like the rest of us and you want to drink your coffee or whatever, you can go ahead and pre-order one of these guys. So right now I have the only one.
I bet you if you hand it to Peter, he'll smash it.
Do I look like I'm going to hand it to Peter? That's why he's way over there. So
Whoa.
we wanted to show these off, though, from We Love Fine, and they are super cute, and he looks like he just really wants you to enjoy your coffee.
No
Spoiler
problem.
alert, he doesn't look like he cares one way or another. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm just going to hang out at this guy and keep it way over here from you. But let's go ahead and just talk some about the past... Geez, how long have you guys been working on this? On Guild Wars 2, not the Quaggan mug.
43 years?
43 years?
I think so.
You did want us to put old down there.
Yeah.
So,
I think we've all worked on it since the beginning, right? About 2007
quick, do math. What's combined? The combined number of years?
on Guild Wars 2.
Yes,
What, 30 years?
Yeah.
I'll take it.
30 years for normals, and every year in game development is 5 years for
Right.
normals. So.
Yeah. So, what are some of your favorite work memories and stories? They have to be safe for work, please.
Oh, well, jeez.
You guys worked together for a long time, so I'll let you just talk over each other and decide who gets to go first.
All right.
My favorite was Kirill sitting on one of those ball chairs and it exploded underneath him.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I actually haven't heard this one.
Oh, he was just sitting at his desk working, and it exploded underneath him while he was sitting there. It was like 1 minute there's a chair, and then the next second it's gone, and he just fell straight back.
Was he okay?
I guess.
You don't know?
Who cares? It was funny.
I guess, who cares, but it was funny.
He's still around. I was just talking to him.
He might have like a metal bar going through his spine, but...
I feel like he's going to be in here in a second.
all right, so since we're talking about unfortunate accidents...
Workplace accidents.
So right after we moved to this building, and there was the whole concept of, hey, you're going to have all your desks on wheels,
Yeah.
so you can, push your stuff to wherever you need to go.
Have races.
It was probably the first time I saw somebody trying to move their desk to their new pod where they were working. And this was a new thing for us, and apparently the company that was sending us the wheels, and they may have sent us a cheaper knockoff version or whatever. So somebody was trying to push their desk through the front door, to get into the elevator.
Yeah.
And like the wheels snapped off, and then when that happened, then the legs snapped, fell in, and then it just went like boom, and then all the computers and monitors just went like sliding off onto the floor.
All their knickknacks and trinkets.
Yeah, and I was just looking at it, I was like,
Yeah, because it's not like we empty our desks when we move. We just pile everything on top.
We just wheel everything
and you wheel it
around
up.
like a shopping cart. And yeah, I don't even know if that person is still here, but I was just remember like, oh, I guess you need a new computer, buddy.
And everything that was on your desk.
Yeah, it was.
All our happiest moments are our teammate tragedies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Laughing at someone else's misfortune.
I'm glad it's not me.
Somebody do better.
Yeah, I mean, mine is similar in the
No.
vein that I'm sorry, and I apologize for the people involved that I'm going to out, but there was one morning where I came to work, and this was not this building, but the one we were in before. It was built in the swamp, and so there was parking was underneath the building, and so you'd come up the stairs, and I open the door to come up the stairs, and I see Josh tumbling down.
What?
And I was like, whoa, what's going on? And then I realized, no, Tammy had apparently pushed him because they were filming some sort of video where she pushed him, and he, you know, they were like doing
It's the
stunts.
lunch money, the lunch money video.
I've seen this. Yeah.
And so that was an interesting way to be
That
greeted.
is-
At-
that
Josh
is-
did a pratfall down that whole staircase.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's still around.
Wow, I had forgotten about that.
Yeah.
So you just opened the door, and there he was.
Yeah.
Wow.
So again, slapstick.
Yeah.
I'm glad he was okay. See, in my head, all of these things happen to the same person.
Pretty much.
There's
I
just
mean,
one
could've
guy
been.
that accumulates all our misfortune. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's hopefully move away from bad things, because
Sure.
I wanted to ask you about interacting with players. Please, please don't talk about bad things that have happened to people here. I hope you have something better. But like, we've talked a lot about interacting with our community because they're really great to encounter. Just, I've run into random players in public. I got stopped at Macy's one day, which was kind of cool. But either in or out of game. What about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm out and I'm wearing, you know, a shirt for one of the games,
Yeah.
sometimes people will ask, and then if it says, you know, dev team
The
or
dev
whatever
team
on
shirts?
the
Yeah,
back,
yeah.
it's kind of hard to blend in. But yeah, usually when people see the shirt, they say nice things. I haven't had anyone chase after me and throw stuff because they were unhappy about anything. Yeah, actually, okay, so here's a real quick funny story.
Please do.
I was at a local game store that I like to go to. It's in Edmonds. It's called Another Castle. And
Yeah,
they're great. They have a little arcade there, a little bar, and they sell, you know, used video games and stuff like that. And I found actually a copy of the Guild Wars Factions strategy guide that I actually wrote. It was the first thing that I wrote, like helped with
Yeah.
when I was here, and I
Oh,
found it, and it
cool.
was like $1 used, you know.
Oh,
but I was
that's
kind of
cool.
laughing because I'm like, wow,
It's in
you
the
know,
remainder bin.
it really held its value, you know. And at any rate, you know, I was showing my wife, and we were kind of chuckling about it, and I said, you know, I think I want to buy this because I don't know, maybe I'll.
You totally should have bought it.
Yeah. Oh, I did, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then when I was at the counter, you know, my wife somehow brought up the fact that I had worked on it and all that, and then we just kind of got in a long conversation about it. So
Aw.
it was kind of neat, you
That's
know.
so cool.
Yeah, super friendly people, and yeah, this happens all over the place in the game or just out. It's
Yeah.
great. We have a great community.
Yeah, like Bobby was saying earlier, most of our wardrobe is, you know, swag shirts from this place. So
Yeah.
I was at our local supermarket just a couple weeks ago, and the kid that was bagging my groceries pointed out my shirt, and I didn't even realize I was wearing one. And he's saying, "Oh, you work with my dad," and I got all confused, and I was trying to figure out who he was, and then I realized it was Josh's son. He was bagging my groceries.
Did you figure it out, or did you have to be like, "Who's your dad?"
No, I just hadn't seen him in a while, so I just finally clicked, like, oh man, this is little so-and-so.
Oh my gosh.
Mine is not an out of game experience. Just it was when we went to the first
out of game experience.
PAX, and we
Oh.
got to have our first real interaction with people introducing Guild Wars 2 to the community. There's the sheer amount of people that showed up and ran through the booth, and everybody wanted, you know, we had the Art of Guild Wars 2 books. Everyone
yeah.
wanted signatures. I mean, that was just so much fun to me to like have that moment of like, oh, we've arrived. I mean, Guild Wars had you know, a good community and a good following, but I think the franchise was still sort of, you know, not quite public knowledge. It wasn't quite the sort of popularity hadn't hit yet, and so this was the first moment of us really feeling like, oh, we've got something really good here.
Yeah.
Was that PAX East or PAX?
West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have one more, and it's real short.
It doesn't have to be. It's fine.
Trust me, I can-
it's been
I can talk
5
for a
years.
long time.
It's been 5 years. You
So-
deserve to get to talk.
So I was at my kids' grade school, and every year the teachers always like, oh, you know, they like to have the parents come in and talk about their work, and once they find out that I do what I do, they're like, oh, you should come in and talk to the kids. And I remember I brought my laptop. I had this whole presentation. Like, who writes a PowerPoint presentation for like a bunch of 8-year-olds, right? This guy.
All right. So,
So-
you're organized. Just roll
At
with it.
any
It's
rate,
fine.
I did all this work, and then I realized I couldn't hook it up to their projector or whatever. So whatever. So I had to think on my feet. And at any rate, I was just starting to tell these kids, hey, you know, I work on games, and like all of a sudden all these hands go up. And I'm like, you, and they're like, do you make Minecraft? No.
Yes, I
and
do.
then the other kid, you know, do you make Mario? No.
Yes.
Do you make
No.
Yes, I
Halo?
do.
No. And finally I was
Just
like,
lie.
no, I make this game, right? You know, Guild Wars. So I go through the whole thing, and I tell them all about, you know, writing for the game and making the game and the art and the music and everything, you know. And then finally I'm like, okay, does anybody have any questions? And then all these hands go up again. And they're like, do you make Minecraft? And I'm like,
Yes,
no,
I
I
do.
do not make Minecraft, kid. You know.
Are you sure you don't make Minecraft?
And then I had to basically say, I don't make Minecraft, I don't make Halo, whatever. And then like all these hands started going down.
Oh no.
The kids are all crying.
Yeah, I know. And then I was like, but you can play our game for free, kids. Tell your parents. So hopefully there are a couple of gems that came out of that presentation.
Get your kids' credit cards.
It turns out that 8-year-olds have the attention span roughly of a goose.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, you can tell them something and it doesn't matter.
No.
It was hilarious,
it's-
though. It was
Kids
awesome.
don't
And
matter.
every time I do talk to kids, it's really kind of refreshing and eye-opening because they really love games, and you know, if they know anything about the game you make, they have a lot of questions. But I mean, even just the fact that they know that you can do something like this, that it's a viable career, and that it's a way to be creative about something that can really touch a lot of lives. It's awesome. So I just love encouraging people to just kind of chase after their dreams, because I mean that's why I'm here. I had done a few different things before I got my job
Yeah.
at ArenaNet.
Things he
doing
doesn't
what
want
I
to
do.
talk about. What he
Embarrassing
had to
things,
do at the time.
filthy things.
I was young and needed the money.
No, but it's been a dream come true being here, so I'm just thankful every day.
Yeah, it is. I've done a couple of school groups here and there, and one of the neatest things is getting to talk to them about all of the different paths that you can. It's not necessarily, okay, I have to be a programmer, or I have to be a designer. And one of the things that I talked to about one class, I was just talking to some younger high school kids, and saying, well, you know, you have. I don't remember how it came up, but some of them were talking about how it was frustrating for them taking all of these classes that they felt like was a waste of time. It's like, I want to get out of high school, and I want to go to DigiPen, or I want to get into design school, and I want to start learning how to make games. And I was like, wait, okay, breathe, stop. What do you mean you feel like you're wasting your time? And she was like, well, I have to take French class, and I don't understand why I have to take
Gross.
French class. I was like, well, I don't know. How many languages, what games do you like? And she rattled off a couple, and I was like, well, how many languages do they support? And watching them get that realization of, oh, I'm suddenly 100 times more valuable if I'm bilingual. Oh, this English class that is a pain in my butt, where I'm learning the rules of grammar. Suddenly I won't sound like an idiot when I'm at work and trying to write this stuff. Watching them understand that there's more than just, okay, I have to be a programmer, has been so cool when I'm talking to these kids. So yeah, it's the same thing.
Nobody has to be a programmer.
Actually,
Peter,
we need
you
quite a
look-
few, Peter.
You look so haunted when you
The
say
game would not exist without programmers, so stay in school.
And you know, as I think of that, I realized that they were probably like 13, 14, 15 in that age range, and the attention span was a little longer than the 8-year-olds, but
Yeah.
they were like, yeah,
Still
but
like
I
a
have to
goose,
take
though.
French. It's like, okay, remember what I just No, I don't want to knock the kids too much, but it's a lot of fun talking to them and talking to people who want to go into the industry and
Yeah.
helping them figure out, oh, there's a ton of stuff I can do. There's not just this one pathway.
Yeah. Actually, Tom and I have been doing outreach to people who are interested in narrative. I mean, occasionally we'll have an intern, but we don't get interns all that often for narrative. But whenever we're at GDC or any of these conventions and we talk to people, usually we're totally available to kind of coach them on things and give them advice and stuff. I mean, at the PAX party Friday, I'm sure if anyone wants to talk about this stuff, I'm more than happy to give them advice and talk about.
Yes, please.
Yeah, if you have any lore questions, like really, really obscure lore, make sure to ask Bobby.
Direct them
'cause
at Peter, and he'll
that's
make
his
up the
favorite
answer on
thing
the
to talk
spot
about.
and make everyone else's job harder.
Especially if they're egg-related.
So pretty much the
Do
two
not
of you
wanna
are
hear
just
more
going
about
to
eggs.
bounce players back and forth. No, it's like go ask your mother, go ask your father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah.
They'll actually have nothing to show for it, but except for Peter's
An
laughter.
evening wasted.
Yeah.
This is the dynamic of working with these two.
And now you look a little haunted.
To take Peter's phone and keyboard away from him.
And Matthew sits in the middle and cries.
Yes. That's pretty much our working relationship.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but you do manage to get some content actually made here and there.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
coming out soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How many days? Jeez. I don't
It's
want to
still
talk about
in the
how many
oven.
days. I'm going to start hyperventilating in a
Yeah,
minute.
it's not
Don't
too
just
far
stop
off.
doing the math.
No.
Stop doing the math. I don't want to think about it. No, it's exciting. Path of Fire is almost here, you guys.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But we've had a whole bunch of stuff over the past 5 years. What's some of your favorite content that you've put out? I'm not going to make you pick a favorite, but what's some of the favorite stuff that you've worked on over the past 5 years?
I'm actually pretty excited about Path of Fire.
I am too.
I really worked hard on the all the open world stuff and Amnoon especially. That the Oasis map and the one to the north of it especially. But pretty
Amnoon
excited
is
about that.
gorgeous. I love how excited everybody's been about it.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
beautiful map.
You guys are
Uh,
excited about nothing else.
No, mine. I always tell this there's a bit of a caveat there. It's both the best and the worst experience of my career here, which is
I know
Lost
what
Shores
you're
Weekend.
gonna say. Yep. We've
Because
talked
I
about
remember
this.
that.
it was such a great idea, and we were so flush from the launch, and we were like, let's do this cool thing.
Yeah.
And we had a bunch of great ideas, but then we were still pretty new to the whole, hey, how do we make a big game like this into a live service and have that function? And so anyone who experienced that weekend knows it was a little bit buggy, it was a little bit unstable, but it brought the team together in a way that I haven't not felt since. We were all just there that whole weekend with the fans, playing, checking in fixes, doing all that we could to make that content more stable than it was.
It really wasn't. It was an experience that I don't know that we've had since. I mean, it
No.
was just wild.
Yeah,
in every
yeah,
way.
Yeah, it had definitely, I mean, it introduced some cool characters that are still around. Canuck,
Love Canuck.
who was one of our favorites at the time.
Keel was in
Keel,
that too.
yeah. So
And
it was-
everybody loves Carcass.
everybody does love Carcass. I'm actually
Jabbatron.
amazed that we got the
That's right,
Carcass.
Jabbatron.
Oh,
Jabbatron made
yeah.
his debut.
Jabbatron, yes.
Everyone loves Jabbatron.
Although
So
he was
wasn't
Jabbatron.
He was Jabbatron then,
was
and
he
then he
first?
Yeah.
became
Yeah.
Okay.
a
He was
million other
helping
things
people find
That's
jobs.
right.
along
that's
his
right.
arc.
who was he? What did he start as?
Jabbatron.
It was Jabbatron
He was
first,
Jabbatron
Yeah.
at
He was
first.
trying to
Then
get
he
the
was
refugees.
Robotron.
Yeah, he was trying to
Really?
strong arm them into an unfair employment deal.
Then he
Huh.
was Ho-Ho-tron.
Yeah.
And then he was Herotron?
He was
no, he was
Hobotron
Helotron.
Helotron.
when he was out of work.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then he was Herotron. There was Ho-Ho-tron in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Ho-Ho-tron for Winter's Day.
I love him. He's great.
So I have
remember-
two.
Yeah.
Sorry. If
No. I was just thinking
Oh,
about.
Oh, no, we're out of time.
Time to go. No, I was
Remove
just
your
thinking about Ho-Ho-Tron. The thing about him that I remember, somebody's mini pet showed up in the cutscene where Kaith, I will bear your pain, sister, and she stabs, and then the back is the Ho-Ho-Tron.
Yeah.
Which is all I could.
Just
As some
spreading
player,
cheer
some player
the
uploaded
corpse.
that video. I can't remember who you are, but I love that, and that's all I can think of anytime I see the Ho-Ho-Tron.
Every version of that with things wandering
Yeah.
through is hilarious.
It's pretty awesome.
Flamingo walking into frame or something.
Just like when the player goes into the all and has that vision in
Eternal
that
alchemy,
one
yeah.
cinematic.
Oh, it's a
my
script
and,
or,
gosh.
and then
or
they
whatever.
take like a quaggin tonic or something.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
hilarious.
The crate tonics were the best. The crate
Yeah.
tonics were the best because the tail bugged into complete. He looked like a pencil. That's great. I'm sorry. So
Oh
what
no,
were
it's
you-
okay.
Please give me.
So it's just two. I'll be real quick.
It can be 3 and stop. You don't have to be quick. It's okay. I
I gotta
promise.
keep this moving, man. I got a schedule. So the
Yelling at
first
us
is
over here.
the personal story restoration.
Yeah.
Being able to go back into old content and improve it was an interesting challenge, and I very much enjoyed working on that project because I think what we ended up doing made the game better. So that was a really cool project to be a part of. And then the other thing is just the Bastion of the Penitent, that raid.
Yeah.
Yeah, just working with the team on that and coming up with a story to, kind of connect to lore, to humanize a character, and to just tell a very different kind of story in the game. That was like it was told through every single discipline, like design, art, audio, obviously writing and dialogue and stuff, but it all kind of came together in a way that I was very happy to be part of that
That was
project.
fascinating. Yeah, the whole way that was done so well, and I feel like
It was
the
a great
work you
team.
put in,
I mean,
really showed
the
through.
building is full of great teams, right? But that was my experience with a small group of people. And actually, honestly, to helping with the story stuff for about the past year has been a really great experience. Getting to work with Matthew and the rest of the folks, and Scott and Connie and Connor and everybody, Path of Fire. It's been a really great thing. They had a really great kind of team dynamic before I even showed up, but it's been an honor and a pleasure to be working with that group.
For Bastion of the Penitent, do you want to, I know not everybody is necessarily familiar with that, do you want to just give a short summary of what that is?
It's a self-contained raid, and
You don't have
I don't
to
want
do
to
the
spoil
whole
it.
thing.
It basically
Okay, yeah.
it tells a very different kind of like a darker themed story, but it also humanizes a character who, if you know anything about him, you might assume the worst. And it's just kind of like a tragic story. So it was it was a different kind of narrative to tell in our game.
I know working through it, I had started out with a very one-dimensional perspective and just, oh yeah, this guy sucks, this guy's a jerk. And working through that, I came out with a lot more sympathy.
Yeah, I mean, if that's how you feel, then that's great, because that's what we were shooting for.
Yeah.
It worked on Ruby, so that's good.
The coldest of hearts.
Yeah, and I'm usually so hard-hearted.
It warmed her cold heart.
Look, I'm a giant sucker, okay? This is a thing that I do, but it did work, and it was a well-told story from all angles. So I did like it. Now you can't use that one because you've ruined it, but I want you guys to talk about some things that are only in the game because you put them there. It can be just an Easter egg or a piece of content, but I want you to tell secrets.
Secrets.
Terrible
secrets.
Yes, mine is just goofy. Anybody who follows me on Twitter knows that I am all about going barefoot. What? I know. So I have to put barefoot characters everywhere I go. So Holbreck has a bunch. There's definitely a couple in Wetlands Grotto. Sorry, that's the internal name. I always do that.
Yeah,
Brisbane Wildlands.
Thank you. And I'm always like, I don't
sorry.
remember. I don't know which one that is.
Yeah, no, I know.
Brisbane Wildlands.
Yes,
okay.
Brisbane Wildlands. It's just my thing. It's my signature. It's Josh has his little tokens and coins that he leaves everywhere. That's mine.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
We're looking at you, Peter.
I'm trying to think of something I haven't talked about before, but I mean, I've got the Drubert thing.
Drubert's a
that
good
is
one.
your infamous.
The Chauncey thing ended up like as sort of a weird out of game almost experience because it never ended up in content.
Yeah,
the
that just
VO's in the game,
References
but it's
to
just
it in the
nothing
game, but
connects
it
to
never
it.
actually happened.
Yeah, we ended up just kind of running with that, though.
Yeah.
Matthew and I tried to bring it back as like a sort
Yeah.
of disconnected episode story thing, but we ran out of time to do that in
Oh,
between.
no, really?
It was in between.
It's still on the
Hot
back
and-
burner.
Yeah.
We'll get to it one day.
It's a pile of unfinished ideas,
Yeah.
pile of broken toys.
It's gonna start with Lord Farron going, "I remember that time with the cat show."
And
and
then-
then
we have the episode. Well, never mind.
Nope, too late.
Probably a little too dirty to talk about. So I got one. Bargle 5000.
oh yeah,
He's
Bartlebot.
Barglebot in Divinity's Lion's Arch.
Now
He's
you
just
have to-
hiding in one of those little houses near Keel's office. At any rate, I kind of took a hint from what's his name, Drubert. You kind of give him money, but Drubert didn't do anything. This guy just lavishes you with compliments, but basically you pay him.
He's a psycho
The
fan.
more you pay him, the more of a butt kissy comment that he gives you. So that I just had a lot of fun with it. I really I wanted to actually make like a little follower thing that, depending on how Copperfed's salvage-o-matic
yeah.
thing. It'd be cool if you do things in the game where you kill something or you do something heroic or you just jump or
You get
how like the backpack.
affirmations.
Yeah, you jumped.
It's just like Master of the Obvious, but this thing goes and just gives you compliments and kisses your butt the whole time.
That would be hilarious.
I think that'd
Did
be
you
worth
want to
it.
make him like a backpack or a
It
mini?
could be.
or-
I don't know.
or a hat.
It's just an idea right now, but I'm thinking big.
Send that to
It's still on a marker board.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that was the thing you were thinking about.
Oh no! I mean, the Bargle thing was just basically a joke because
What does bargling mean?
Nothing I can talk about.
I'm just wondering where that term came from.
Jeez.
We'll have a private conversation about that, Peter. No, we jeez.
And with that,
cut to commercial.
This is where the hook comes in.
Yeah, you ever watch Showtime at the Apollo? There's always like the clown who comes out with the big hook. Like we need that for this show. And Peter, since you're on the end, you're gonna get.
That's Mark's job.
I wonder if we could just like put the chairs on wheels and like roll someone out.
That'd be cool.
cheap
'cause they'll
wheels
go
slowly
rolling
start
down the
disappearing.
hallway.
yeah.
Goodness.
Well, that was just an unfortunate coincidence that we actually are done with this.
This segment is
we're
concluded.
unfortunately
You
out of
accidentally
time.
ruined everything.
I'm sorry.
No, but happy
not an
5 years, you guys, because the three of you in particular have been around for ages and contributed to so much of it. It's a compliment. Stop it.
And it's good that you had us on
God,
early
you're
because
so
we have an early bedtime.
old.
we
Yeah,
have to
that's
get
true.
to.
Yeah, you have
It's
to go back
time
to
for
the nursing
our
home.
bottle.
I have to go get some warm milk.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've lined up your walkers over there.
Thank you. Thank you.
There we go. No, thank you guys very much. Congratulations. And here's to many, many more years.
Yes.
Starting
Thank
with Path of Fire
Hooray.
very, very soon. So, thank
Cool.
you guys, and we will be back in just a couple of minutes.
you. All right.
Rated T for teen. A million adventures await you in Guild Wars 2.
Come on. Almost. Finally, yeah!
Victory is ours!
Whoa, Whitlock Brimstone!
Now, the journey continues with the Super Adventure Box. Travel through a strange world of great danger and mesmerizing beauty.
Awesome graphics!
You'll need lightning reflexes, nerves of steel,
Stop the graphics!
and the heart of a warrior. Farewell, the fate of Tyria is in your hands! Live the saga of Guild Wars 2 on your Super Adventure Box from ArenaNet. Your parents help you hook it up.
Wow, Crystal, that was a cool dog picture.
Yes.
That was an awesome dog. So,
I like my dog a lot.
so welcome back. Since we're talking about just a lot of ArenaNet life and all that, we thought we would include some of our furry and scaled and, in one case later, feathered friends. So we are bringing you arena pets because everybody likes cute animals. So thank you, Crystal, for
It was just a clever
participating.
excuse for you guys to get us to send cute pictures of animals all day long.
My inbox was the best thing for weeks, you guys. And I'm trying to think of an excuse to do this again because really, with all of my work emails, just having them peppered with adorable pictures and videos all day long kind of makes me happy.
We should just, like, reply ArenaNet all. Make everyone's day better.
I'm on board.
All right.
So, all right, well, welcome to the 5th anniversary live stream, and congratulations on 5 years, you guys.
Thank you.
Aside from cute animals, we are talking about some of your favorite work memories and stories from in the office.
All right.
So, it doesn't necessarily have to be you. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves first if you want to. Although we've already kind of done that for you. So.
Yeah, I'm Steve Huang, game designer.
I'm Crystal Reed, lead designer.
I'm Anthony Orden. It says game designer, but it really means useless designer.
All right, we'll change it up, but
Thank
I
you.
feel kind of bad
That's
about
what I
it.
put on the paper.
Jeez.
Just want everyone to know.
So we're a little more casual today since we're just kind of celebrating and enjoying the past 5 years. So I'll let you guys kind of
Stories?
hit it.
Work stories. Did they do Axeman yet?
Oh, God.
No, it was a lot of like people's desks falling apart and breaking, and
is a crazy
Josh
morning.
Foreman falling down the
So-
stairs. It was
Yeah.
terrifying.
I came
Take us
into-
there.
I was.
remember
This was back when we were in the old building, which I
Yeah.
saw them mention.
All the
in
best
Swamp.
stories come from the old
They
building.
really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And I was pulling up to the parking lot. I was late for some reason. I don't remember why. I pull into the parking lot, and this squad car like pulls in behind me, right? And like so, I kind of pull into the spot, and they pull into like the spot opposite, right? And I get out of my car, and then these two police officers pop out of their car with like MP5 like submachine guns.
What?
And they're like, "We need you to go back to your car, sir." And I was like, "No problem." I get back to the car.
And then I went
calling
home
the
and never
phone.
came back.
Yeah, what's going on, right? It turned out that there was a debt collection agency somewhere nearby in the office complex.
Yeah, it was the
They had been
building
attacked.
next door.
Yeah, they had been attacked
Yeah.
with a man
Yeah.
wielding an axe.
Yeah, on the second floor, there was some collection.
And then they called the cops.
Yeah, and the guy used the axe on the door.
Yeah, he broke
And then
the
he went to
window or
work
whatever.
afterwards.
Yeah, he left. Yeah, so they didn't find anybody. He just pieced out, and then he was just like he just went to work
but
like a
the
normal day.
whole park was
Just-
under lockdown.
Yeah.
And, like, I was getting all these texts in the morning. I wasn't there. And it was like, I can't get in. Like, tell
Yeah.
somebody. And then everyone ended up going to, like, a cafe for breakfast.
This is not to go after the guy. I'm sure he had a really good reason, but like.
This segment's going to be full of crazy stories, I think.
That's great. I'm just in awe that I've never
didn't know
heard
that
this
one?
story. How have I never heard this story? Like, I heard
It's
the
the best
story of... oh, gosh, now I'm scared to say it because I'm afraid I'll embarrass somebody because I feel like he probably wasn't happy about it. The barbecue in the back of someone's pickup that got out of control.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one.
That was here, right?
No, this
That
is
was at the
old,
old
old
office.
as well?
office.
Okay.
Yeah, the old office is different now.
Yeah.
Was anybody... I wasn't there for that, but now I feel like I've accidentally brought it up and someone has to tell it. Was somebody
I
there
don't
for
know
that?
about the barbecue story, so.
Maybe don't say who because I feel like they weren't happy about
It
it.
was just a barbecue on someone's pickup that got a
You're
little...
tailgating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that got a little out of control, that's all.
Little out of control. Just
Yeah.
half the force just gone, deleted.
Yeah, there was just black smoke like billowing everywhere.
Oh, man.
Do you remember the one I was remembering was when John Peters jumped Eve?
Yep.
And so we had
Oh,
we had
yeah.
an Eve standee. It was like, I don't know, like maybe 4 or 6 tall.
Yeah, like
And
those
John
cardboard
Peters, like,
standees.
he's like, I can jump that, because he's a kind of a track guy and runner, and he's like, and then so we all put on bets, and like Albert, he was back with us, one of the designers. He's like, oh, I can jump that. That's not the problem. And there's this little trash can that's like 1.5 feet tall, and he's like, yeah, see, I'll just jump this, and he jumps it, and he trips, puts his foot in the trash can, and just tumbles.
Yeah. It's a lot of workplace accidents.
But then Peters totally jumped the Eve standee, right?
Yeah,
Like he cleared it.
He cleared it. There's a little bit of wind when he was running, so it kind of tilted, but yeah.
I had forgotten about that. I
We have video
wasn't
of it.
here for it, but there's video?
Yeah.
How
It's on the network somewhere, I'm sure.
Mark and I are both like, how did nobody send
You
us this
guys
video?
have to check our common directory sometimes.
Yes,
I'll
but it's a
point you
little
to
late.
it.
Like, we want to show it right now. I'm
I'll
so
point
sad.
you to it after this.
Okay.
Next
For the 10th year
anniversary.
anniversary.
Man, okay,
Yeah.
10-year anniversary. Okay, 5 years is enough time to get it. I don't know. So, do you have anything from the old office? That was before my time, so I don't have any good swamp stories.
Well, it wasn't a swamp. It
Yeah.
was sinking. I mean, there's the parking lot was closed off for a while because it was like sinking. So it like had like the pavement was like shooting out.
Yeah, there was one time there was like 1.5 foot of water, and like it was next to the slough, and the
Yeah.
slough was overflowing,
Well-
and people just couldn't get to work. And
Yeah, it was always like the thing was like because Dave B comes in at before the light is even awake, crack of dawn. So he comes in super early.
He's up the night.
Yeah, he's up. That's right. And because he drives a big truck, he can just go anywhere. So if it poured rain overnight, you'd be like, hey, check our email. Did Dave make it into work today?
That's true.
And then if Dave made it into work, he would assess the damage and be like, and then he would send out an email and tell
same on
everyone
snow
whether they
days,
should come in or
right? Like there was that 2007 wind out where like everybody lost electricity for like a week, and
I
people
wasn't here for
were
that.
I wasn't
camping
here for that
at
either.
the office because their homes just didn't have heat.
Oh,
That
wow.
was that was
Yeah.
where they got the idea for Nightfall, right?
Wow.
No.
Really?
Probably
Yeah,
north,
yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't know people were camping out at the office. That's insane.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's the old office. There's a lot of old stories. That's pre Guild Wars 2 though.
That's okay. That's totally allowed.
Okay. Well, there's the great one was when Brett tackled Jeff Strain into the swimming pool.
What?
Yeah, yeah. So
Well, this is way before our time.
Yeah. So at the one of the pre-launch parties of Guild Wars 1, we were all gonna go see. I think it was what was episode 3, and and everyone's like, Brett,
We all knew what he meant.
We're at this pool party, right, at somewhere in LA after one of the E3s, and we were talking about how like, oh, Brett, you should tackle Jeff, get him wet, like no. But then, so we finally encourage him, make sure he doesn't have his phone on him and things like that, and then Brett gets him into the water, he's wet, and we didn't know he had all our tickets to the movie. So later, when he's passing out tickets, for the
They're all,
movie,
like, stuck
you don't
together.
deserve this, you don't deserve this, you certainly don't deserve this.
Please tell me he didn't give Brett a ticket.
No,
did he?
everyone
He's
won
a
it.
nice
It was all
guy.
good
Okay.
fun. It was all good fun.
Oh my gosh.
That was the one where we had the drinks named after the professions.
I've heard about it.
Yeah.
Way before my time also.
Yeah.
But, oh my gosh. He had the tickets on.
Yeah, they were just wet.
Make sure he doesn't have his phone, but the movie tickets, whatever. I'm sure it's fine.
Those were fun days.
Oh my gosh. All right, so that's terrible stuff that we did to each other.
My embarrassing one was I almost promised alliances to a handicapped lady in the line of Disneyland. Like I'm in Disneyland. I got the shirt on, and when you get the shirt on, people come up to you and it's like, oh yeah, we have this guild, and she was in like a wheelchair. She's going on California Screaming, and it's like, yeah, if only we could get more people into our guild and get them all into the same one. It's like, I think we have alliances coming for factions.
Oops.
And I was like, wait, did we announce that? And apparently we announced it a week before that. I was like, oh, phew.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard remembering.
There's always that.
Yeah, Ben Miller used to always
about this yet?
tease me about this. Like, you promised alliances to our... Oh, I'm sorry.
Sometimes it's hard remembering. Have
We were
we
here first
said
in the
that?
line of
or...
Disneyland.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
She's gonna show up at the company 2 years later. You promised.
Jeez,
Gotta
we
read on the
announce
back of
things
this
in weird
Disney map.
places.
I was at Panera once, and they like the server's like, "Oh, that's a nice sweat, hoodie you have. I'll buy it off you." It's like, what? I know this.
Oh my gosh.
That's my hoodie.
Yeah.
You may notice I'm using it right now. What about you guys? What about some player encounters for you guys? Please tell
player
me you
encounters?
didn't. Please tell me you didn't announce things in line at Disneyland.
No, did
No.
not announce anything in line at Disneyland.
Oh, actually, you have one about the dogs that I wanted you to make sure to tell.
Oh yeah, I can tell the dog story. I was actually gonna say I liked
Sorry.
being there when the Mesmers invented like accidentally throwing people off cliffs with the way Portal used to work. So it was beta weekend 1, and I was running around with the dev tag, and everyone was following me, and we were having a great time. And then some clever Mesmers like threw up the portal, and then like with like the you know, basically it's like the way it was set up, it was portal here and then like edge of the cliff here. So like this train of people just went into the portal. You didn't used to have to press F. It would just grab you, and then just like they just rocked off a cliff. Yeah, it was great. That was when we changed Portal to not be like that. That was good. And then yeah, the story that Ruby's talking about is I have this friend of mine who I met at PAX. We were just there showing the game off for the first time, and there's a guy, I was talking to everybody. There's a guy standing in line, and he was like, I can't wait to like take video of all these skills, and like he was super into it. And we got talking, and then somehow he brought up his dog, or he had to go home and like take care of his dog. And I was like, oh, what kind of dog do you have? So it turned out he had a husky that he like was about 6 months old. I also had like a 6-month-old dog, and so we were like, yeah, we should, you know, meet up sometime and like talk about Guild Wars 1 and, you know, let dogs hang out or whatever. And so I didn't think, you know, that's what everybody in Seattle says. Is like, yeah, maybe we'll do it. And then he was like serious. He was like, yeah, let's get your number and like,
oh, yeah, all right. Seattle thing.
Sure, yeah, because he's not from Seattle, he's from Oregon. And so we showed up. He lived over by Marymore Park, and so we met up one day and let the dogs play. And then like we just kept doing it for now. Like it's been 5 years later, right? Mm-hmm. And here we are, right? So and like we still we just watched his dog this month like twice because he was, you know, going and like doing some stuff, and so you know he's our only dog sitter, right? Because our dog keeps everybody
bringing people together.
You know, his dog.
Dogs together.
Yeah, she's terrible. She that dog, she likes to run away, and so when shortly before the game had launched, we went up to this local trail. It was called Lost Beetle Trail. It's up on, you might know it. It's up
Lost
on
Beetle Trail?
Lost Beagle Trail.
Oh, Beagle?
Yeah.
Is that where all the beagles go?
No. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know how the trail got its name. But basically, we were up there, and the dogs were off the leash, and we should never ever have done that with her.
Oh, it was your first mistake.
So she decided to take off, and the trail almost got renamed to Lost Husky Trail. Anyway, after this, it was such an ordeal that I put a character in the game. He's in Wayfarer Foothills. Yeah. And his name is Crag Wilcrux, and he's got a dog named Shastar. The dog's name is Shasta, and it's not an event or anything. It's just this little vignette where like he chases the dog around, and the dog will never ever get caught. It's scripted to go on like that forever.
Oh my gosh!
That's kind of my joke to him. So
that's adorable.
Yeah,
I love it.
That was my favorite player interaction, I suppose.
Aww, that's so cool. What about you?
I'm trying to think because I've only been to one kind of convention with the fans. I was at TwitchCon. And I didn't have a ton of player interaction because we mostly were hanging out on set all day.
It can also be in-game.
It can be in-game. So in-game I have a good one. We after Raids came out, we kind of formed this dev team. And, you know, we weren't amazing, but we killed all the bosses, and that was the most important thing to us. And I think there was one night where 2 or 3 people just couldn't show up, and we only had like 7 players, and we're like, well, we didn't really want to bring a bunch of people in. And so we had like exited the raid instance. We were all in Verdant Brink. We're like, well, what do we do now? Like, obviously, we all just tag up and we go do a hero point train farm.
Sure.
So like we just all tagged up, and then people were like, oh my god, there's devs, and they just followed us, and we're like, look at all these followers, and we had a great time. Like we carried everyone through a whole hero point train farm through Verdant Brink. That was a ton of fun, and people were just like so surprised. Like they were super surprised. Like there's devs. I'm like, yeah. Play the game all the time.
We do play our game. You just don't see us a lot of times.
It's fair.
Yeah. So did you get to? We were backstage a lot at TwitchCon.
Yeah.
Did you get to hang out with players at all?
A little bit. Yeah, we did a little interaction on the while players were waiting in line to go play the demo for Heart of Thorns. So I got to interact with a bunch of people because we had just recently announced raids, and so people were kind of curious, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I was like, we're doing raids. They had a lot of questions, and that was fun.
Yeah, it's really neat getting to go out there and just talk to them face to face, and okay, yeah, you care about this and you're excited and you want to discuss this face to face.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've noticed and that I've heard from a lot of people on all of our teams is that it's easy to kind of feel isolated. You know, you're in here working and there's not a lot of face to face interaction with the community, and when you get out there talking to them, it just really changes your perspective. having that interaction and feeling like everybody's as excited as you are. It makes a huge difference, and it feels so good.
Funnest things to do. I mean, like, it's very, I don't know, gratifying. You know,
it is
to see your end results being enjoyed by lots of players, and you know, that's one. The one that I remember the most was it was the GW2 like beta, and we had the art books, and everyone was signing art books and getting in line. And one lady wanted me to sign her pants. And I was like, okay, sure. And she had a bunch of devs sign her pants.
Was she wearing her pants?
Yes,
HR.
yes.
Relatively speaking, there's a lot to work with that's fine.
You're right.
So,
You're right. It's, you know, you're totally right. That's me.
Yeah,
it's
just, but yeah, the initial thing is, hold on a second. But yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know. If I was going to have Schwanks on my pants, I know where I'd want it.
You know what? That's for later. That's like Guild Chat After Dark. I did at our lunch party, just you were talking about signing things. At our lunch party, I had a player run up to me, and he had, like, I don't even remember what it was, something to sign in one hand and a Sharpie in the other hand. And this was, like, the happiest looking person. He had this huge smile, and, like, he was just lit up. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can totally sign whatever this thing is. And he was like, are you? And he like named another person who was not me. And I was like, no, I thought this dude was going to cry. And
because you were not the person you thought you were?
I was not the person that he was asking
double
about.
down. Been like, yes, I am that person.
Well, she was also there.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't even have time to be like, she's over there, and send him that way, because the dude shrunk like 5 inches and just went and walked away.
He didn't even get your signature?
He didn't want it.
Oh.
And I couldn't even be mad. I was just like, that was amazing. If you want to come back, I can take you to her. But he was gone.
He
it was like,
don't sign this.
I like ruined that guy's day.
Some of the best ones are like, you see the same fans at multiple conventions.
Yes.
Especially the local ones. You
Yeah.
know, local meet and greets. And you recognize them like, you're still playing. Awesome. That's great.
Yeah, and it's great seeing them come to event after event and getting to check in with them and talk to them. And a lot of times, and I've seen this over and over, they bring new fans along. Like, hey, I brought some friends, and they've started playing the game.
Converts.
And
Converts.
Converts,
To
yes.
the cult.
I've brought new ones. One of us. Yeah. So it is. It's like you said, very, very gratifying to get to hang out with players.
Humbling.
Yeah. Yes, very much that. It's just like, wow, thank you for the stuff that we've all been working on. So,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I always get them like when I play the game, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so glad that you, you know, made this game." Like one guy was like, "I'm gonna, like, just huge debt to ArenaNet forever," and I was like, "Well, you did give us money, so."
Please tell me you said thank you.
But you're welcome. Yeah, glad you're having fun.
You read the forums, and it's always great to hear, like, you know, friendships being made, or people, you know, making friends in game, but then meeting up in real life later.
Yeah, I love seeing like guild groups.
Yeah.
Coming to events together. Let's talk about content that you guys have worked on. Speaking of people giving us money for it.
That's
Thanks,
a joke,
Anthony.
by the way. It's a bad joke.
Well done.
Yeah, we're all here because we love it. That is true.
It actually is.
Content that I made.
What's some of your favorite over the past 5 years?
I know what my favorite of yours is.
Okay, go for it.
The bunnies and Snowline.
I did
Those were
this
yours?
fast on Wayfarer Foothills shortly before the game shipped. I did a lot of
weird stuff
in that map. So there's the snowball fight.
With the kids.
Knows what that one is.
Yeah, these kids' parents, thank you.
Yeah, if you go up the hill from the snowball fight, there's like a rabbit minefield.
Yeah.
And something,
oh
they need you to like go get the food that's buried in the snow, and like, these rabbits just come out after you, right? And it's this miserable
and just
experience.
knock the crap out of you.
Yeah, they drop kick you.
Yeah, they drop kick you because we have that animation for some reason.
Because
why not? It was all right. I mean, it was supposed to be easy if you had two people doing it, right?
Yeah, no, it is easy.
Okay, yeah.
I know. I remember doing it after we shipped with Byron, and we were Byron would pick up a piece of food, and then I would escort him back, and then we'd trade off.
Every now and then, one of them would drop kick you off the cliff.
That was a tall cliff.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I didn't know that was you.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
I also am responsible for the terrible heart in that zone. The one where you have to abduct the Doliac children. For
That
the
was
char.
you also. Get out.
Oh, that one. Yes. Now I
Also known
remember.
as
We're
the
here to
Heartless
steal
Heart.
your baby. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it didn't turn out quite like we thought it was gonna, and then we were also trying to like sort of transition you to the char. Seemed like a very char thing to do, but like I didn't realize that they were gonna be like animated and like make horrible baby Dolia crying noises as you were netting them, and then killing the mother.
Oh my gosh. What did you think was going to happen?
I don't know.
I mean, there's not a lot of
new
options
designer.
there, dude.
Who's a new designer?
Man. I feel like Peter Freeze is somewhere in the building going, I got to double down, man. I need to step up my game. Oh my gosh. Okay, so now we know your favorite content of Anthony's.
Yeah.
What about actually yours?
My
You can't just say like
favorite
raids.
content that I've made.
Raids.
No.
So I want to
them
say raids. Like I've thoroughly enjoyed like all the encounters I've worked on there.
I
could
mean,
be
for
an
being fair,
encounter.
I should really name my favorite encounter that you've done.
What's your favorite encounter that I did?
Probably Tequaddle. I mean,
It's pretty good.
catching the wave.
Well, yeah,
Oh
the
my
wave was the wave was awesome. James Schoecker did the effect on it.
Yeah.
Like Ian came up with the idea, and he was like, "What if we have him come down with these big wings?" And he does this tidal wave. I'm like, "I don't know if we can do that." We're like, "James, can you make us like the biggest effect we've ever done in the game?" And he was like, "Sure." It was just, why not? So
It was also how we threw you into the deep end, right?
yeah, that was the dark time. But like it worked. The only kind of crappy thing is you don't really see it now anymore because they dunk them down. Like you never fail the battery events. Like they saw it a lot the first week.
Oh yeah,
but you
yeah,
just
yeah,
don't get to see the wave anymore.
Fair enough.
So.
It was something great about it, like just showing up to that thing, and there's 100 people here, and like this is what I love about Guild Wars 2. No other game does this. No other game has 100 people fighting a dragon like that. You just don't see it, right? Like we're the only game I think that is out there. Like just you could just do this. You could log in right now and go fight the dragon with 100 people.
Yeah.
And then watching that dragon.
5 o'clock.
Destroy everybody.
Yeah, I'm like checking the time going, can you though?
Yeah, 5 o'clock Pacific. You'd
Okay.
log in
Right.
to Wetland or was it
Yeah, I don't know what the time is.
Sparkfly
Sparkfly.
Fen,
Yeah.
and go kill Tequaddle.
And then guild forming just to do that.
Yeah.
And what was great too was like
Yeah.
watching the community sort of like coalesce around a strategy for that, and then it just became known.
And figure it
right?
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
And-
you could show up to that and participate. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then we kicked it up for triple
right.
trouble because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Tequaddle, they beat him on the first day. We're like, oh man, they got him on the first day. We're like, well, we're gonna up this for
All right.
triple trouble when
Yeah.
we worked on the Jungle Worm, and it took longer to beat than we thought it would. But like we'd come in every day and we'd watch like the live streams, and back then Wooden Potato was kind of an up and rising star
Aw.
of lore, so he was actually commanding one of the groups on one of the servers, and he had been up for something like 30 straight hours or something, because like they hadn't beat him, and then every time you failed, you had to wait 2 hours again for the next encounter to
Yeah,
begin.
yeah.
And so we were watching it, and like he was commanding, and he would like lose steam. We're like, okay, we didn't get it, guys. Like, I'm gonna stick around for one more. And he finally hit a point where he was just like, I have to go to bed. I have to go to bed. And we were watching the stream. It was like getting pretty close to another the escort events to kick off. And because they were streaming all the TeamSpeak stuff, all of a sudden this one player started screaming, and he's like, ah! Oh god, I fell asleep, you guys. I thought I missed it. So like players were falling asleep at their desk, just staying awake trying to kill it. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was glad that you guys continue the tradition of making Coast the map full of things that eat you.
What eats you before?
So in Coast there is a giant drake that eats you. There's
Oh,
a giant
okay.
shark that eats you. There's a giant slime that eats you.
And now a giant jungle worm.
that
Of course,
eats you.
it's the map that eats players.
So is that not on purpose?
I
you sound
actually didn't know
surprised?
that
that,
stuff. I
yeah.
didn't know that was in Coast.
I
It
encouraged
just
it.
kind of.
I remember when she was like, "Oh, we're thinking about doing this room where you get eaten
Yeah.
by that." I was like, "Yes."
Anthony's the one I run
I
on
was the
my
tech designer
weird
at the time,
Nice.
so I was
I
like,
run on
"This
my
is
weird abuse
absolutely possible."
Thank you
We'll
for
move heaven and earth.
approving all of that stuff when she runs it by you.
Yeah, like
So,
the
do you
tidal
guys-
wave and the vomit. I'm like, Anthony, come see
Oh,
this.
yeah.
I'm like, watch this, watch this, watch this. Blah. Where he's like, yes, just ship it. That's great.
That's perfect. So do you guys remember the first group that succeeded at Triple Trouble? With like I think it was the same group that did like
I remember
the
watching them
speech
get
on
really close.
the speech on TeamSpeak. There was like
I
this stirring motivational
Don't
speech.
remember. Oh, why don't I remember? I know there was like, because after Tequatl came out, it started the whole like Tequatl Terror Squad or the TTS movement.
Yeah,
and
TTS.
they got to like 10 guilds at one point in time.
Yeah, there's so many.
And their whole goal was to just take out these world bosses. They got really, really, really close. I don't remember the group that did it first.
I remember the group that did it first either. I do remember that they did it when they tried to do it. It was completely different than we thought they were going to try to do it, because you have to sync kill the worms, right?
Well, you have to do that to win.
Yeah,
but
well,
we
they tried
weren't
to spike.
We weren't expecting them to zerg them. That was the interesting
No,
thing.
we expected them to try.
Well, we
didn't
expected them to try. We didn't expect them to almost succeed. We're like, they're going to try, and this isn't going to work out. And then they were doing it. Like, they'd leave, like, 10 players at each worm in this huge zerg of 100 players. Like, they'd, like, link the waypoint, and they'd all go to the waypoint and, like, zerg all the way down and, like, dunk one worm down to 10%.
Yeah.
And then back to the waypoint and back to the next one. I was like,
Mesmer portals.
they're going to do it, you guys. Like, this is
mesmer
actually
portals.
happening. And I was like, oh, my God. And then it, like, one group got really good at it, but they started making mistakes and stepping back, and then so another group started making more progress, and like, we can't do this anymore, so they stopped the zerging.
For the record, the reason why we didn't want them to spike the worms like that was because it's bad for the servers when there's 200 people standing in one spot executing all the skills, right?
Yeah.
So, I was like, Crystal, you can't do another Tequatl where like you gotta everybody like
you have to stop
summon.
Do you remember when you're pitching that and you're like, yeah, we're gonna have this worm, like, we might need to.
She's like, don't worry.
That's why we split them up as far as possible.
Yeah.
Like, they're pretty far away. Like, so they're out of like report range. So they're not really like conscious of what other players are doing. But players are like, whatever.
Oh, no,
we're way more powerful when there's 100 of us. What if we try this?
It's very true.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad you clarified we didn't expect them to almost succeed, because I don't know if you saw the face I made when you said we didn't expect them to zerg it. I was like, really?
Well, no.
Really?
Yeah. We knew they were gonna try. Try.
There we go. Yeah. That was one of the most fun things I have ever seen, because I remember I just wanted to jump out of my chair and be like, yes, when they finally succeeded, and all of the screaming on their TeamSpeak server felt so good to hear.
I missed the actual kill. It happened like on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And then I woke up and I had stuff to do, and then I went and checked Reddit after. It's like, oh, they got it. Oh, I missed it. All right. Well, that's okay.
Oh man. Yeah. All right. Well, do you guys want to? You had mentioned the what was it? Lost Beagle Trail.
Lost Beagle Trail. Yeah.
Lost Beagle Trail that we sort of put in game.
Trail.
Lost. Yeah. Escaping Husky. Do you guys want to talk about some things that are in the game because you put them there? Little Easter eggs that you've stuck in there.
Yeah, I did mine.
You already did. But if you have more, that's fine too.
I was just gonna say the content. I was, I guess, happiest or proudest to put in was destroying Lion's Arch. That was just a.
You're happy about that?
Well, it's a huge endeavor, and
you heard the man.
I know a lot of people have nostalgia for it, but it just was a great endeavor to get the players all together and feel like we have to take it back. They felt something. For the city that they wanted to take it back, and just to create that feeling of purpose and unifying the player base in some sort of goal. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, the whole Battle for Lion's Arch thing really was. It was touching.
Yeah.
And we don't just blow it up for fun.
No, we don't.
It was good content.
Thanks.
My favorite thing.
Yeah.
So Teddy and I have both been in the same guild throughout the years, like playing video games, and we've put almost every one of our guild members into the game at some point.
Oh, that's right.
So Teddy worked on the original the upper level of the Queen's Pavilion, the Queen's Gauntlet, and so most of the bosses there are named after players or people from our guild. So there's like Chaldea, Liadris, Cyril. Those are all people we actually know.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of the raid bosses, like I kind of continue that on when I work in raids. So Knuckles, though his character name is like Nakulza, and we just call him Nachos. But neither Nakulza or Nachos were going to fit with our lore.
Nachos was going to be a little weird.
Yeah. It was going to be a little weird, so we called him Knuckles. Kernan, the commander in the Tequatl event, I think her name's Naru, and she walks around with 2 Char, and Naru is the name of like our raid leader, and she's quite short, So, of course, she's an Asura. I had to pick the smallest one and yells at us all the time for doing things. So I was like, yes, there's this little Commander Naru, and she yells at players. Like Zildi in the Chokjarant encounter, like that's another character of mine when I was working on that encounter. And there's a few in like the Char camp as well. Yeah, just like most of my guild is in there at some point. I even managed to get a character. His character name is Fridge. Or Refrigerator, one of the two. Okay. And we managed to get a character in after him just because his real name was he had just kind of like a normal real name. And then we ended up naming Matthias Gabriel after him because his actual real name is like Matthew Gabriel. I was like, wow, that's kind of like a priesty shaman name. What if we just modify this to work for our game? So we managed to get him in the game too.
Oh, I love it. So do they look for themselves or do they know it's coming?
No, usually I tell them. I was like, I'll put you in the game somewhere. I'm not going to say where, but.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool that you can do that. And you make it work. It's not like, here's this guy, here's random Joe, just sitting here being very, very obvious that he doesn't actually belong in the game.
Yeah. There's another one. His name is Terrell. His actually real name is Terrell. But it's like Terrill or something. That's his real name.
Okay.
But like people have also mispronounced it as like Turl. So he's actually got two characters. Byron put Turl in. He's in Lion's Arch. He does like the little Karka hunt and he gives you the gun for them.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah, Turl. It's also Terrell.
It's the same one twice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I will let you guys go unless there's anything else for the 5th anniversary that you want to add.
Just trying to think of any other little tidbits.
I don't got anything.
You're more than welcome to.
I think I've said enough.
I put Salona in.
You've said too much.
Salona.
Salona.
It's a amalgamation of Celeste and Alona. They used to be the Guild Wars Reporter.
The Guild Wars Reporter podcast.
Yeah.
So
just put that.
Nice.
I used to listen to it.
Well, you can't now because it stopped. Alona does host the Vascalon now.
Yes.
It's a Guild Wars 2 podcast. You're both going, what? I will link you afterwards. It's very good.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys very much. Congratulations on 5 years. And we will be back in a little bit.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Con los terroristas.
The Harlem Shake.
This world has lived in shadow from a pair of demons' wings. But none here fear the future or the darkness that it brings. The monster puts on quite a show, expecting us to yield. But there's just one course of action when we take up sword and shield. Bash the dragon, drive it right back into its den. Bash the dragon, smash the dragon, may it never rise up again. We send our best and bravest who attack with all their might. The skillful and the willful each line up to join the fight. The beast may leave corruption in a swath across the land, but we won't leave it breathing when our heroes make a stand. Smash the dragon, drive it right back into its den. Bash the dragon, smash the dragon, may it never rise up again. Minions come in dozens from the peaks and from the shore, but we face each wave with bravery and will never lose this war. In every brawl a few may fall, but more will join the queue. And if that lizard shows its head, then this is what we'll do. Bash the dragon, smash the dragon, drive it right back into its den. Bash the dragon, smash the dragon, may it never rise up again. Bash the dragon, smash the dragon, drive it right back into its den. Bash the world has lived in shadow from a pair of demon's wings, but none here fear the future or the darkness that it brings. The monster puts on quite a show, expecting us to yield, but there's just one course of action when we take up sword and shield. Smash the dragon, smash the dragon, drive it right back into its den. Smash the dragon, may it never rise up again. Smash the dragon, drive it right back into its den. Smash the dragon, may it never rise up again. Smash the dragon, may it never rise up again.
I love that last one. I don't know how I'm supposed to top that. Like, and then my bird landed on my head.
No big deal.
I know, right?
I know my kid's done that a few times, but it's a lot more dramatic.
Yeah, it's probably more painful and less charming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, welcome back and happy Guild Wars 2 anniversary, you guys.
Yay!
So I'll let you guys go down and introduce yourselves.
Okay. I'm Trisha. I'm a producer on Living World Teams. Also helped out a little bit with the new Mac release that we had recently.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm Eve Eschenbacher. I'm the voiceover lead.
I'm Clayton Kisco. I'm a game designer. So.
Awesome. Thank you guys for coming in, helping us celebrate. So we've been starting with some of your favorite ArenaNet work stories from the time you've been here. A lot of them seem to involve injuries or people's things falling apart. No, nothing permanent, so it hasn't been very bad. So I'll let you guys jump in and see what we come up with.
God,
I've learned new stuff.
I've only been here a year, so I don't really have or seen the horror,
only
traumatic.
A year is, but as Peter pointed out, that's like 5 years in dev years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. That is definitely true. But I got nothing. Do you guys have anything?
Most of my stories involve time in Burbank in the recording studio.
So Burbank is fine, but I also sit near you guys, and I hear what goes on over there.
Oh, yes, you do. There's always drama and fun things, occasionally Nerf guns. Always chocolate, too.
Yeah, every time you travel, you come back, I always get this email like, hey, I brought like this amazing stuff from Japan, and
Yeah.
Please come over and eat some of it.
I brought this time. I went to Japan for my summer vacation and came back with like. I seriously bought way too many sweets. I still have like a container of cookies and crackers on my desk at home.
Serious?
Yeah. So I always like bring back piles of sweets and I email everybody and I'm like, please come eat all of the good things I've brought.
You're overdoing it.
Yes.
So you can also tell Burbank stories because those are the good ones.
Yeah, those are always fun. I head to Burbank for recording sessions roughly once every 2 to 3 months or so. It's not like a set schedule. It shifts. So the time in the studio is a lot of fun, a lot of entertaining times.
You just got back, right?
Yes, I just got back.
Can you say who was down there recording without spoiling anything?
I can always say that
know.
our player characters are there because our player characters are always there.
Okay.
You can't have a release without a player character, so it's
That's
always
nice and
fun to record with Nolan North and Brandon Bales,
my
April
gosh,
Stewart,
yes.
Matthew Mercer. We have 3 of the Critical Role Critical Role's a D&D web show, and 3 of the members of that are on our voice cast.
Oh, really?
Liam O'Brien, Sam Riegel, who is Bram. Liam O'Brien does a bunch of bit characters for us, and Matthew Mercer is our PC Norn Male. So if you play Norn Male, you hear Matthew Mercer.
You were talking about Nolan North being down there, and I remember when we were down there for Heart of Thorns, and he was doing the Mordremoth. He was doing the Mordremoth VO.
Yeah.
And it was like, surrender to me. And then he just like busted out what sounded like King Candy from Wreck-It Ralph to me. And he's doing he's doing Mordremoth's lines in King Candy's voice. And somewhere I have video of this. I can't find it. I can't remember where it is, but
It's gotta be in the outtakes.
I mean, we've got a ton of outtakes, but every time we talk about Nolan North doing recording, I think of that because it's freaking glorious.
Yeah,
I love it so much.
He swaps voices all the time, and he is one of my outtake-heavy actors. So he's
so fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun in the booth. John DiMaggio's a lot of fun in the booth.
Oh,
yeah,
but more. We don't have a lot of video of that we can show.
No. A lot of it is PG rated, but occasionally it gets a little blue.
Yeah, a lot of. I'm just trying to remember some of John DiMaggio's outtakes that are PG, and I'm realizing the list is sort of short, but they're all so good. They're so fun.
One of my favorite ones was there was a line for Heart of Thorns, and this was John DiMaggio outtake. He had, as Canuck, John DiMaggio as Canuck. As Canuck, he was saying, we have to go and find Mordremoth, and he busts out into, he owes me $52, that son of a gun.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I haven't heard this one.
Yeah. It's on my temp drive.
That's hilarious. You need to email me that.
I keep a collection.
Yeah, I've gotten some good emails from you.
Can we like release that to the fan? Like, I feel like I would definitely, like, outtakes are my favorite part of any movie or like production.
Yeah, we should talk to the audio team about putting it.
Some of them we could probably put in there.
Yeah, or just bleep out John's awful language constantly.
Yeah, you know what? We've done that on Guild Chat before. We've run some outtakes of VO recording in the past.
Sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I remember John DiMaggio's first session. We tried to edit down into just a run of his outtakes, and I think we took like 4 passes at it before deciding that
we can't.
No, you can't distill him into a bottle. It just
it doesn't work. There's also an outtake reel. There's like 5 minutes of me being a complete idiot. I can't even get through a prepared script without
me neither. So
just screwing it up over and over. It was glorious.
Awesome.
I don't know. So what have you guys been working on? You say, and I keep going back to this, you say only a year, but there is a lot to be done in that amount of time.
Yeah. I mean, I've worked on the X-Pack and worked on like just events, open world stuff specifically, which has been a lot of fun. I was working also with the concept of what a mount heart would be like. Our hearts traditionally are like just combat heavy and miscellaneous, kind of like help out a village, right? But what does it mean to be on a mount and do that content?
Yeah.
So that was really fun, and that was exciting because that was new stuff to do.
Yeah. we were talking about just some of your work stories and stuff, and you had mentioned making waffles on release days. So everybody loves you.
Yeah. So waffles are kind of a cool tradition that we have here at ArenaNet. I think one of our other producers, Mark Davis, started it a long time ago on Living World. Yeah, so here's a picture of that.
Hey, check it out.
This is one of our most recent releases that we did. I think this is for episode 6. So back, like I said, early on Living World days, Mark just wanted to give back to the teams for all the hard work that they did. And we could have ordered catering or, you know, whatever, but he wanted to really give back. So he brought in a couple of waffle irons and just started making waffles for the team. And it kind of evolved from there. And so it's a fun thing that the production team does now for the teams every release. We have, of course, in classic producer fashion, turned it into a big organized production. We have a Kanban board that we make now to have everyone's tickets for waffle orders come in, and we expedite everything. We have a producer that like writes names on plates, and then we have a line of producers that make waffles, and then we email people automatically as they get done, and then they all come in, so it's like a really well-oiled machine now, so everybody really looks forward to Waffle Day.
It's in the same system as our bugs, right?
Yeah,
so like I'll be working on bugs, it takes time, and they'll be like, your waffle's ready. I'm like, sweet, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, and it's like kind of a sneaky way of getting everyone in the studio to learn how to use our bug workflow system. So it's like,
it works.
If you can learn how to like put in a waffle order, you can learn how to burn down a bug. So it's kind of like a practice session.
I think that started in season 2.
Yeah,
around season 2 of Living World. I could be wrong. Yeah.
It has been super awesome to see how it evolved, because I remember way back when it was like 2 different kinds of waffle batter, I think, in a pitcher, and you just took a Post-it note and you wrote your name on the Post-it note and you stuck it to the plate and put it on the bottom of the stack, and came back later to see if it was done. And now it's like, yeah, you order it from your desk and you get like a status update on your waffle. And it's this whole bit. You guys have turned it into this incredible thing, and evidently a teaching tool, which I have no idea about. And I can't even be mad because there's a waffle at the end of it.
Yeah, we go through a lot of iteration. We even have like retrospective meetings after the waffle sessions.
Stop, you do
and
not.
We talk about ways we could improve the waffle process.
You know,
more chocolate chips.
That sounds so producer.
It does sound very producer.
We're really we're serious about the waffle process.
But you know what? It has applications in other things, so it doesn't feel like a waste of time.
It's been a great learning experience too for like when I started as a producer. That was one of the very first things that I learned at ArenaNet. Was my second day at the studio was a release day, and part of my training, they were like, "It's a waffle day. Here you go. This is your introduction to production."
You're like, where am I?
Yeah. They were like, this is how you're going to learn how to use Jira. This is how you're going to meet everyone in the studio. This is how you're going to learn how to be a producer here. And I'm like, okay, let's do this.
And they are going to be incredibly happy when you see that.
Yes,
because you're going to give them a waffle.
It's the best, yeah. Everywhere I go now, I'm going to take that with me.
That's hilarious.
Like, let's learn how to make waffles. And then we can make games.
Thinking that I need to work on
this
now.
I think I told you everyone my secret.
I need to make it better. And
I hope it still works.
Something. You know, the thing is, our producer, a lot of times he orders them for us. He's just like in our pod yelling, who wants what? So I'm sorry we also accidentally circumvented your system.
Well, you know, that's
but he's trying to make us more efficient because we're always really busy on release days.
That's, you know, that's how it works.
Yeah, sorry about
it's
that.
It's all a well-oiled machine. It all works.
I don't know. So we were talking about player encounters too. I feel like I should take us out of the studio because we've been rhapsodizing about waffles for like, what, 5 minutes now? And as much as we love them, have you guys had good player encounters, like in or out of game, either one? But that's the part that is the most fun for me, is getting to talk to players and hear how much they love the game, especially when they find out that we're in game and start whispering us, or if we run into them in public.
Players have been just amazing. There's always like, hey, love what you do, thank you, cheers, you know what I mean, and like, love the game, thanks, and then they're like very quickly on their way, and like they just go back to their thing. Like, yeah, it's been a great experience. Our community is arguably like the best community that a game could have. It's really cool. So.
we've been talking, several of us just got back from Gamescom. We were walking around the show floor, and we were talking about this in the office over the past couple of hours, just in various meetings. Mike Z and I were having lunch with a couple of players at Gamescom, and there was just like 2 or 3 guys that we were arranging to meet up with. And once we got settled down and we were eating, Mike was like, hey, why don't you just tweet real quick, here's where we are, in case there are any other players that are around here that might want to come by and say hi. I was like, okay. And it was just my personal account, which is, you know, not a huge thing like the Guild Wars 2 account, but I felt weird doing that officially. You know, I was like, hey, we're sitting on the floor eating crepes. Come talk to us if you want to. And I was like, you know, we're eating, and if anybody wants to come by. And we thought, you know, maybe if there's 2 or 3 people around, they might. We were there for 5 hours.
Wow.
And like somebody estimated from pictures flying around on Twitter later that like 200 players came by.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't even like, oh, talking, you know, oh, we're going to talk to Mike Z, which I think everybody did because he's amazing and manages to talk to every single person.
Yeah.
But they were just talking to each other. They were coming by in big groups and bonding over our game.
Oh, that's so cool. And it's not planned either, like you
it
said,
was
right? Like,
totally
just
impromptu, and huge thanks also to the Gamescom crew for not throwing us out, because we had taken over like a significant chunk of floor, and we were just sitting there all afternoon.
That's so cool.
You opened the floodgates.
It was a huge surprise, because that's like I said, we expected maybe 5, 6 other people to happen by, and it was probably a couple hundred.
Cool.
All afternoon. But that's the great thing about our players. They were just bonding with each other over our game and how much they loved it.
Wow. Yeah, that's really
so it was,
awesome.
yeah, it's a neat thing to get to talk to them. It's really refreshing because we're all in here minimum 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
And you can get that tunnel vision about just, you know, get the job done. And talking to them helps us remember, oh yeah, we're doing this because we love it ridiculously, and so did these people that we're doing this for.
Yeah, I'm sure you must have felt like so motivated, and like I don't know, like because you said, you can get tunnel vision, right? And you're focused and you're passionate about your work, but like there's nothing like a bunch of fans maybe coming up to you or talking to you and being like, thank you, you know, I love what you do, I've done this, or like the game has meant this to me or whatever. Like that's inspiring, that's motivating, that's really cool.
Yeah. And even just sitting back for a while, I was just sitting back and not even really chatting with anybody, mostly because I was losing my voice at that point. But listening to them talk to each other and just share different experiences in game and make plans to do stuff was extremely, extremely cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really, really fun. So do you guys want to talk about different content that you've worked on or participated in that is special to you over, well, your time at Guild Wars 2?
Oh man.
What's some of your favorite?
You're looking toward me, and it's like
it doesn't necessarily.
Yeah. I started here about a month and a half after launch, and I have been involved in every release that has gone out that had VO in it. So every Living World, every expansion, that's me. I've been on all of them. So there's I'm just kind of off on the side waiting for everything to be ready enough for me to take it down to Burbank and you know, have the actors do their thing. So.
Well, with the amount of VO we have, that's a lot.
Yeah, I did the math recently, and I've been involved in recordings for almost 100,000 lines of VO.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Yeah.
Thank you so much, seriously. Because I know it can be exhausting, especially running down there so regularly, but it really makes a difference.
Yeah, we're trying really hard to, you know, keep that personal touch on the VO, not just hand it off to a company and be like, here, you deal with the mess. You know, I'm in the meetings, table reads, everything with the designers, the writers, and trying to get a sense of what the content is, so that when we get in the studio, we can convey that to the actor, and the actor can bring the characters alive.
Yeah. And you guys, do you want to talk a little bit about the table reads that we do here? Because, I mean, that's a cool element that makes sure we all know the content. And we know what's going on.
Before we go down for every recording, once we've had the VO deadline, we sit down in a room with the designers and the writers, just reading the content out loud, making sure that we understand, okay, is this in combat or is this, like a one-on-one conversation? What's going on in this scene? And reading it out loud just to see, like, is it even possible to say this? Because holy cow, is the word mists hard to say in the middle of conversation.
Yeah, sure beats
sorry,
robo
it just
voice.
is. Yeah. It's like we have to run to the mists. It's that TS sound. It's frustrating, but that one we can't change. The name's stuck. But trying to say, okay, well I've tripped over this word too many times. Let's rewrite the sentence so that it sounds better and it's not so hard to say.
Yeah. And now I'm thinking of, okay, now the word mists. Now shout it in combat while you're being punched in the gut. Good luck. Let us know how that works out.
Yeah, shout it in combat. You're being punched in the gut. We're gonna do this. Yeah, giving them all that background context that we can.
And I'm sure the actors appreciate. Okay, I figured this out before we brought it down to you.
Yeah,
and that you're there and can help with it. That's like you said, that personal touch.
Yeah, giving them the notes. Okay, this is what's going on in the scene. This is the subtext. This is how can you read it a little bit more angry? Can you sound a little happier? Can you hit this word a little harder to give it the right emphasis?
Yeah. So I'm honestly looking at you a little bit surprised because I feel like you've been around forever, way before launch, and you said that about, a month after launch. I was like, what? That's it?
Yeah.
How did we survive?
I'm almost to my 5 years, and I honestly don't know. No, that makes me sound a little too egotistic.
No, you deserve it.
I have been the one-woman VO team here for quite some time.
You have worked super, super hard.
Yeah, and our VO deadlines are constantly being moved. We're constantly getting iterations. Like, that's no joke.
Yeah.
You're wrangling cats.
I am. I am good at herding cats.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't think there would be a Living World episode that we would have been able to ship without talking to Eve. So, props to you for all that you've done.
Thank you. Well, what about you guys? What is some of your favorite content that you've been involved in?
I mean, I really enjoyed working on season 3. I came in around episode 3, and I just think it's been a really great experience. Driving towards this Path of Fire announce. It's been really exciting. It's really awesome that we've had this momentum going into this expansion.
Oh man,
yeah. So it's been a really crazy experience just to be hitting all these releases very strong, and then on the release of episode 6 to turn around and be like, surprise expansion. Yeah, so that feels really good, and it feels really good to see the just the response that the fans have given us for everything. It just feels really good to just be doing the 1, 2, 3 punch with all the content we've been putting out. So while I'm not a content creator myself, it feels really good as a producer to be able to help the teams hit their cadence on time, and I know that we set these milestones and they feel challenging while we're in development, but to get this payoff at the end and see the rewards at the end, it feels really good.
Yeah.
So it makes it feel all worth it in the end. So it's been a really amazing experience. Yeah.
How about you, Clayton, without telling too many secrets?
Yeah. So one of the secrets kind of already gotten thrown out on our Reddit, which I was proud of because as a player, I always loved when developers would do this. We managed to put a specific warthog, meerkat, and lion in Oasis.
That was you.
It was me and a couple of designers one day were just like, this would be such a great idea. We love finding little nuggets of that throughout the world, and so we definitely put in a couple more that people haven't found yet. So I'm excited to see if people see it. But that is as small as it is really rewarding to see the fans' reaction of being like, thanks for that. Thanks for that little little nugget of fun that we found.
I forgot that was you that put that in there. And that weekend, so many players were grabbing screenshots of that and tweeting them at us and posting it on our Facebook page and showing, I found this, and oh my gosh, they stopped at the bugs, you guys.
Yeah.
So nice work on that.
Thank you.
You guys, this is who you thank for putting the lion and the warthog and the little meerkat in there.
Sarah Sperry was also part of that. I wasn't gonna do it. And she was like, do it. I was like, all right. cool.
Go Sarah.
Yeah, yeah. So I gotta give props to her too. But yeah,
that's
that was fun.
Well, that kind of fits my next question about what's some content that's in the game because of you that wouldn't otherwise be there. And you told me you didn't have an answer, but I thought of something that I don't know if you know or not.
Oh man,
sous chef Seymour Oxbourne. Seymour Oxbourne.
Oh man.
He is an NPC in the game, and he has a lot of voice lines. And one of the things he talks about is how much he loves Tuesdays because that's waffle day.
That's good.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, Tuesdays are great because those are the days we get waffles.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah.
We're gonna give you credit
it's
for that
all
one.
like tied in. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, and that was we have a lot of little like ArenaNet in jokes here and there, hiding in there, and I remember seeing that one and thinking, okay, that's kind of awesome.
That's good.
There's another one about I think he talks about how Mondays are hard because there's so many meetings. And
there are a lot of meetings.
And we're all sitting there going, yup.
Yeah. Mondays are like get everybody in
Kick
one
off
room
the
and talk
week,
about
start.
everything.
Yep.
Constantly.
That would be fantastic. Could we just like have a huge company meeting every Monday where
Knock
it's an
it all
airing
out.
of the grievances?
Yeah.
Nothing would get done.
Nothing would get done. It would just be shouting for 2 hours.
Oh.
They are productive meetings, but Mondays are
They're jam packed.
Yes, and this morning was super fun because the whole time I'm like looking at my watch going, oh, you guys, I got to get ready for this thing. We got to go. So, well,
there's a whole like Kanban process script. The Storm Wizards.
Oh, those. Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah, that was Rachel Robinson and Troy Baker.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know
doing
this.
the Storm
they're not very
Wizard
good
script, trying to build a ship in a cave.
Yeah.
So
Are they good at Scrum or no?
No, they're not good at Scrum.
No,
but they're making all kinds of Scrum in jokes that we're just like, you know what? It's been a long release cycle. Let's just let it go.
I guess you haven't seen. We'll have to show it to you sometime. No, the ship they're building is upside down.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I remember hearing about them, but I
upside down in a cave, and
it's in a cave.
I mean, how are you going to float a ship upside down in a cave out of the cave? Well, they're trying to resource water, but the water's been backlogged.
They have a stand up and nobody comes. Or no, like one dude comes and he's like, "Where's the others? The others are busy."
That's so funny.
Oh, that's yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic. We'll have to show it to you later.
Yeah, you guys have to show me.
So, all right. Well, thank you guys very, very much for helping us celebrate 5 years.
Yeah.
And it sounds like lunch is happening, so I will let you go and have some
We'll have to go grab the last of the food.
And we'll show you the waffle guy and the upside down ship later.
I know. I love seeing stuff like that.
All right. Thank you guys, and happy 5th anniversary.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll be back shortly.
Hey everyone, my name is McLean Deemer and I'm the composer here at ArenaNet, and today I wanted to take you behind the scenes to look at the recording session we did for the music for Living World Season 2. Everyone at the studio has been working really hard to make sure the game is improved for Living World Season 2, and one of the things I've wanted to do for a long time is record the music with a live orchestra. So this past May, we went to Germany and recorded at the Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach Concert House, just outside of Berlin, and it sounded amazing. For Living World Season 2, we wanted to do something distinct and cool that would match the new content. We recorded a lot of new music that relates to the new creatures, locations, and the situations you find yourself in as a player. And for people who've been listening, you might recognize some themes that we introduced in past Living World releases. Each of the zones in Guild Wars 2 has a very clear musical palette, and I wanted to do the same for what's coming up in Season 2. I think what we recorded matches the aesthetic already set in Guild Wars 2, and I also think that it stands on its own as something unique and fresh. This was my first time working with a live orchestra for the game, and I was really nervous about writing music that would do it justice. But the orchestra was incredible, and they did an amazing job bringing it to life. And it's been a dream come true hearing my music played by a live orchestra.
I owe it all to you.
I think it really succeeds in elevating Guild Wars 2. When you hear live music as you're playing, you feel it on a much more visceral level. Thanks a lot for taking a look at the music you'll hear in Season 2, and thanks for listening. I'll see you in the game. Something like that. That was take one. Oh, it's terrible. I'm just warming up, okay?
High above the coniferous treetops, some 10 miles east of Seattle, Washington, rests a modest video game developer doing big things. ArenaNet made their mark with the release of Guild Wars, and now with the announcement of Guild Wars 2, MMO fans are more excited than ever. So in an effort to extend their gratitude, ArenaNet invited their biggest fans on an exclusive, in-depth tour of their brand new studio.
It's amazing. This is a beautiful, beautiful studio.
The structure of how they've got it set up is kind of akin to how they're trying to structure their MMOs as well.
ArenaNet founder Mike O'Brien gave fans an intimate look into the various departments that make up the studio, including the design department, cinematics, animation, and the audio department.
You can't fake a crowd, you know? The only way to do it is to record a crowd. So you guys are actually going to be helping us out quite a bit.
Fans were surprised when the audio team requested their help to record sound effects for upcoming Guild Wars 2 levels.
All right, let's try it. Ready?
And the audio team was surprised at their award-winning performance.
So you're acting. You're just getting caught up in the moment. It's perfect. Yeah.
After a successful recording session, everyone migrated to the usability lab to play the latest build of Guild Wars 2. While the players tried out dungeons and underwater combat, the developers were by their side giving them tips and answering questions. The tour ended with fans and ArenaNet employees hanging out in the kitchen common area over good food and cool drinks.
Of course it was a blast. You got to see so much of how this game is done. They're bringing the community closer together, they're bringing the employees closer together. I think it really will reflect in how Guild Wars 2 will be played and how it will look like.
ArenaNet is providing a fresh new look to the entire structure of MMOs, and I'm blown away with what they've got to offer.
All right, now that we've all died from cute.
That's a really good way to make sure that your segments start with everyone smiling.
I know. Well, except that we were all literally sitting here going, oh my gosh. So I actually liked the video before it. I thought there were really cool people in it.
I thought there were too, Ruby. Like, neat, interesting people.
Yes, and we hired so many of them.
I'm sure Ramon's really glad that we have that scream forever.
You know, I feel like Ramon did not care at that point.
Into it.
He was really into it. So thank you guys all for joining for the last segment of our 5th anniversary live stream, and congratulations on 5 years.
Thank you.
I will have you guys introduce yourselves real quick, and you're closest, so you get to go first.
I'm Connor. I'm a content designer on Path of Fire, so I will be dodging around the things that I'm working on today.
You said dodge. Does that are you hinting at something? Or?
The dodge has not been disabled
He's
in
actually
Path of Fire,
so he's going to stand still in the comments.
Oh wait, that's
right
true.
It
has been disabled.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to see what it felt like to do that. It's surprisingly dull.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I'm Elizabeth. I'm on the brand and marketing team.
Yay.
I'm Aaron, and I'm on the Living World team, designer.
Awesome. So we've been starting with some of your favorite work stories here at ArenaNet.
Sure. I mean, I know that most of the other stories were about people getting physically injured. Unfortunately, I
If
do
that's
not
what you have, you
I
know.
do not have one.
Okay.
So anyone who's looking for more bloodshed is going to be disappointed. My story is about another coworker he's come by frequently, but he really ramped up a lot of Pathfire. Ty King, he's a writer.
Yeah.
And my story is specifically about Ty King's desk. Which
it's worth a story.
I've seen pictures.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen it.
So Ty, he starts, and his desk is normal for a little while, and I don't know, but at some point he changed it so his monitors were tilted like this. So he has these two monitors that tilt like this, and he just works normally. Like all the work programs are at an angle, and he's like just got his head slightly tilted to the side, and like you just walk by it, you feel slightly disoriented every time, and finally I broke the seal, and I'm like, Ty, like, what's up with your monitors? And he's like, well, I just like it like that. And then I think because he knew that people were definitely paying attention to his desk, he started to escalate dramatically.
No.
So
Is this when the hands came?
Hands came later.
Okay.
Spoilers.
Wow.
So yeah,
story.
I mean, it began with like his background changed to a Windows 98 like startup screen. Yeah, so you're looking behind it looks like he's using ancient software. And then later his screensaver was like something that his son made, he said, where it's like it's a bunch of people going down an escalator. So it was actually a screensaver designed for his slanted monitor.
Whoa.
So he was committed. And then one day, it stayed like that for a little bit. And then one day I come in and his desk is covered in like those modeling hands. Like
yeah.
And they're not only are they like hanging on lamps and they're like on the ground, and there's one hanging from the ceiling on a chain that's holding like his hat.
Well, sure, as you do.
Yeah. And I go to him and I ask him, and Ty has this. One of the things about Ty is he has this very deadpan delivery.
Yeah.
And so he just goes, there was a sale on hands. I'm like, all right. I mean, I guess that's as good of an explanation as any.
Sure.
So
I mean, who among us can resist a hand sale?
I just want one person in the room to have been like, oh my gosh, where? And like grab their car keys,
run out the door.
Yes.
And that's why the office is now covered in hands.
And I'm also a little sad that when you ask like what's up with your monitors, he wasn't like what?
Yeah.
And just acted like there was nothing.
I mean, he's moved upstairs now, and I went up there recently, and now he has like a giant Lego like backboard to his desk as well. So it's continued. It hasn't stopped, and I'm sure like by the time in the next year, it's going to consume the entire office somehow. Like we will all be assimilated into Ty's desk, like the Borg. Kind of.
I don't have that kind of energy
No,
to maintain a project like that.
Yeah, that's some commitment, but I admire it. I really like this.
Absolutely.
All right, somebody top that.
I don't know if I can top that. Probably my favorite thing we've done around here was this would have been last November. We had a Pokemon Sun and Moon tournament in the office, and I was super proud of myself because I came in second to last, which was
It's not last.
Yeah, exactly.
Congratulations.
But yeah, the best part of it was the person who had organized it, one of the engineers here, actually built a WWF belt with a giant Pokeball on the front. You haven't seen it around.
No.
I don't know who has it now because I dropped out of the league eventually, but it's been going around. There's a picture somewhere. But yeah, it's a full-size like WWF belt, but it's got Pokemon stuff on it.
I didn't realize it was in the building. I wish we could have gotten it in here.
Yeah, I assume it's still in the building, like I say, but it's yeah. So that was fun. I did not win that, but
oh man.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if somebody could bring it. Okay.
Just be like,
someone's watching this stream in the office,
and you have
and you know where the
Bring
belt
us the
is.
WWF.
This is the one scenario where you are free to kick down the
No, very quietly open the door. Oh my gosh. Sorry, you were saying, Liz?
My favorite work stories involve a lot of profanity.
Yay!
In fact, one of my first things that I ever did at ArenaNet was I was responsible for helping build out a word filter for, I don't remember if it was Facebook or something, but we needed to populate as much profanity
forums.
as we
I remember
possibly
this.
could. And I thought, like, surely I know a lot of swear words. So I took...
I thought so too. I was very surprised.
I took a while, and I put down, all the offensive terms I could think of, and passed it over to Dave Campbell, who was another marketing writer at the time, and he was like, "Oh, sit down, honey."
Oh, sweetie, let's have a talk.
Just comes back,
Dave.
and the list had like quintupled in length.
Dave is a good writer. Dave knows lots of words.
He knows many, many words. But one of my favorite things about my job is, so I'm on the marketing team, and whenever there's titles for something, like episode titles don't tend to get a ton of scrutiny. You know, for the most part, those come kind of from the narrative team, and we're like, yeah, that doesn't sound weird. It, you know, does it have to do with a fiery release? Great, you called it Embers or whatever. Like, awesome, we love that. But expansions get a little more scrutiny. And Heart of Thorns, we obviously lucked out. It was a great expansion name. And HOT is a great acronym. Path of Fire went through a lot of name iteration. Like, so much name iteration. Just meetings with narrative and us and story. And then, you know, different groups of people. Maybe if we only have these 3 people in a room, they'll have different ideas. And we'll put these other people in a different room and they'll have their own ideas. And so once we had a bunch of candidates, we would sit down as kind of a marketing team and go, okay, like, which ones have really, really offensive acronyms?
I remember there was one where the acronym was BS.
Right,
We're
and we're
like,
okay, maybe we don't want our expansion to stand for BS. Like, maybe that's not what we want. So we had a short list of probably 15 names, and we're going through them and going, okay, like, these ones have pros and cons for story stuff, and then they have pros and cons for how they shorten. And I don't remember what the actual proposed name was, but the initials on it were DTF. And I'm sitting in this meeting with, like, the you know, CFO of the company and my boss's boss, and like 15 other people going, we can't use that. And my boss is like, well, why not?
What does DTF mean?
And everyone's just kind of sitting there going, nope. And I'm like, well, it's my time to shine. I'm like, well, Brian, here's what it means. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's off the list. We can't.
Yeah, I admire your bravery so much, because like we're all just like, well,
it was
so it means you kind of
it's not the most
and she just was like, look.
How elaborate of a metaphor.
And none of us even had like an entire word. I think it was just a lot of noises. And she was, it was my time to shine.
Like, all right, gonna take this one for the team.
Gonna do it, and yeah, it was. Once that bomb was dropped, it was like
okay, yeah,
all right,
next name.
Let's not do that, because, gosh, that would. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember what the name was. I just remember the horror of somebody having to ask, "What does that mean?" and having to explain. Gosh, this is an awkward gathering of people.
Please don't remember this on my performance review.
You know what? You were the brave one.
Yeah.
There's the
leadership
performance review.
Yeah, for sure.
Did it by chance?
I don't think so.
I think it probably just didn't come up. Let's just not talk about that
just
anymore.
never mention this instead. Except for on live stream to all our viewers.
And there's like some kind of statute of limitations there where now we can talk about it because it's been a while.
Sure.
I think that's probably fine. So, I don't know. How about player encounters where we didn't swear?
Almost every player encounter I've had in the wild, I guess is
Aaron goes out in the woods.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it has been literally been in the wild. That's right. Yeah. I ride the bus, and I have an ArenaNet backpack, and I get fairly frequely on the bus, and it's always nice
it's
people.
Great.
It's always it's super fun, but it's definitely there are times where like I'm not super prepared to meet people, and it's hot and it's a thing, but it always ends up being.
I know.
Exactly. But yeah, those are the main ones. Unfortunately, I wish I had one where somebody like went crazy but none of that.
But you know what? Just talking to people in random situations like that is, I think, so much fun for also the players.
Oh yeah,
just
absolutely.
Like, oh my gosh, I just saw a dev on the bus.
Yeah, exactly.
Super cool.
Yeah.
That's so much fun. And yeah, I've seen especially the last bus before it comes to the park and right across the street.
Yeah.
It's like ArenaNet Backpacks Ahoy.
Yeah, there's at least 4 or 5 people who ride right around that time.
Yeah, we're all like getting on there, and it's just.
Yeah.
And I'm sure any players are looking around going, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah. It's kind of
Now you've told them all to like keep
Exactly.
an eye out.
They're all like checking the bus schedules.
Yeah.
And like, I wonder which one it is.
So I am undercover and in the actual game because I'm not good enough at the game yet that I want people to know that like I actually work on it. which means that I get a lot of things where I'm running around and someone is like talking about like things that they probably have just directly asked me about if I was there.
That's kind of fun.
It is kind of fun. I remember the specific one was like I had just gotten hired, and I'm like, I need to like familiarize myself with all the content again. So I created like a Sylvari, and I was playing through the starting area, killing fireflies or whatever. And these players are having this talk that was like, oh, I'm like, this is really nice. They're talking about like, you know, how good ArenaNet is listening to feedback, and they're going on and on about that. And then the conversation takes a sharp right turn where they start like complaining about how ArenaNet is, you know, yeah, they're generally on the bus, but for some reason they just don't get that people want mounts. And they're like,
when was this exactly?
This was like way like one of the first things I learned about being on when I was like, you're on Path of Fire. Here's the big feature. It's mounts. So I'm just gonna keep killing fireflies. Yeah, I don't like just ignore this. Like, but this has occurred to me multiple times playing this game, like with my friends as well. They're like, yeah, like enjoy moving around, but I just wish it mounts. And I'm like, yeah, you know, it's development time.
Hey, look at this firefly over here.
All things take some priorities.
There is a thing where that, I don't know, it's difficult. And I was talking to some players about this last weekend. That is so hard when there's so much stuff that we can't say.
Yes.
And setting aside the thing where we were talking about earlier, where you're trying to remember, is this a thing that we've said? You've always got that split second of hesitation where have we announced that yet?
Yeah.
Have we said that publicly yet? But things that you know we haven't announced publicly, and they're like, gosh, I wish we had mounts, and you're going, me too. Gosh, that's a cool idea.
I mean, meanwhile, I'm running around like pressing the X key, like, and I'm like, ah.
And you're so glad you're not tagged up right now, right?
That's true.
Yeah, it is. It can be a super frustrating situation, and I think you and I have talked about this when we announced Heart of Thorns at PAX South. I was talking to a group of players right after the announcement was over, and we were all just chatting, and I was saying, we've known about this for so long, and it is such, I can't explain to you guys what a relief it is to be able to talk to you about this. Yes. It feels so good to be able to say this expansion is coming, and it's been so hard. And one of them immediately goes, so what's the Elementalist elite specialization? And I looked at him and I went, 10 seconds. 10 seconds is how long you let me have that.
There was a very similar thing with the Choya. Like everyone on the Path of Fire dev team loves the Choya, and we've loved them forever. And there's kind of this thing where they went from just being like a regular mob to like something we featured in more and more stuff. And so when Path of Fire shows up and they're just in a single shot of the trailer and people seized upon them and was like, these things are amazing looking. Like, it was extremely gratifying that, like, we didn't even need to point them out. Like, they immediately loved the same thing that we had, like, attached ourselves to.
Yeah, there's always, like, this one little random mob that inadvertently turns into the mascot. I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of really cool things that we've put into Path of Fire. The sand sharks are hysterically funny to me for some reason. I don't know how many people got tossed into the air in the preview weekend, but they kind of delight me just for that reason. I could just like sit back in the corner and just watch people find out the hard way that, hey, that's a thing that they do. I don't know. So do you guys want to talk a little bit about some content that you've worked on in the past few years, or that you've been involved in that you love?
Sure. So one of the first things I made here was the Scrit area in Ember Bay. And like
it's not what I thought you were going to say. It's not what I thought you were going to say.
No. Well, I've been lucky. A lot of the stuff I've worked on has been really fun because there's mocks also and webbies and whatnot. But yeah, the Scrit one and the stone dwarf head, that whole thing in there, like I have a soft spot for all of that. I think the Scrit are a lot of fun anyway, and they brought the and doing the sort of I worked on both of the instances with fake Lazarus Balthazar stuff.
Oh, that's right. The reveal was yours.
Yeah, and talking about like giving stuff away and whatnot. I remember doing the guild chat for episode 2. At that point, I knew who Lazarus was, and the entire time I'm sitting there, I'm like, don't accidentally say Balthazar. Don't accidentally say Balthazar.
That is really difficult.
Yeah. Because that's definitely a mistake I had made in real life, like going through that. But all of that stuff was really fun. Yeah, mocks, monsters and the super fun
Yeah.
one, and spiders and
Yeah, Mox, but Mox was a really fun one, and I loved the dwarf head and the little random thumb was
That's right. Yes, yes,
addition.
with the little pillow that Josh Foreman made for it. So it's little. Yeah.
It's a good touch in the game, though. I mean, we've always talked about how you can tell when the devs are having fun with their content.
Yeah.
And it carries over to the players. So it's good that you're having fun with it.
Yeah.
So I have shipped about 11 words to the live game, and I'm very proud of those 11 words. They were in the special event UI like a year and a half ago. So I'm an official game dev.
Recite them.
But most of what I've done obviously has lived kind of outside of the game.
It totally counts.
Yeah, and it's really hard to point to specific things because we tend to be a little more of a team effort for the stuff that I work on. But I remember I joined, the first thing that I wrote release highlight content for was Dragon Bash. And that was when we were in just this like runaway rail cart of a content release cadence.
Yeah.
So the cadence at the time was a week before a release we would put out the release highlights, then the release would come out, then the next week we're putting out the next release's highlights. And a couple releases after Dragon Bash was the Queen's Jubilee and then Clockwork Chaos. And I'm like getting ready to write the Clockwork Chaos release highlights, and I was like, hang on. We're gonna put out a week before Scarlet shows up that Scarlet's showing up. Like, this seems like it's gonna be a bit of a weird thing for players. Like, it's supposed to be the surprise attack. How is it gonna be a surprise if we're literally being like, so Scarlet's shown up, and people are going, who's that? And what's going on?
Yeah.
And so that was when we came up with the kind of idea of the kind of bait and switch release highlights page where we set up the Queen's speech.
Right.
And it sounded like a good release, but not, as good as the actual release.
Right.
And then slowly defaced it over time because I basically went and I was like, I can't write release highlights for this. Like, how do you be like, hey, there's a surprise attack on Lion's Arch coming next week.
Get ready.
Or, I'm sorry, on Divinity's Reach coming next week. And so that was one of the first times that we started kind of as a marketing team to go like, oh, like how can we kind of play with player perception of this and started to be fully cognizant of what kind of the story meant in terms of making sure that we were prioritizing player experience. Which was really fun.
Not ruining it for them. Yeah.
Yeah, I obviously can't talk about much. The demo stops just short of content I worked on. I work on the one of my chapters is the one immediately after the demo content. But I will say there's a lot of attention to detail and fun little stuff in Path of Fire because I mean we gave ourselves the time to put in a lot of things. So and I think a lot of them people won't find for a while. There's one thing I will say that people might not be on the alert for is there are some instances of subtle things changing in the open world as a result of what you've done in story and vice versa. So, and well, we'll just see how much of that people find as it goes on.
You have like what 3.5 weeks until
I'm sure they'll find it like
just
the first
take
day.
the excitement and leave the rest. Don't throw up. All right, now I'm super curious, and
it's mainly I have to backtrack this now, so it it's mainly really minor like Easter eggy like flavor.
You know what? The little Easter eggy flavor things are the fun ones. Those are the fun things.
Yeah.
So that makes it hard for me to ask about like little things that are in the game because you put them there.
I mean, yeah.
But now we know now we know to look though.
You'll find there's a bunch. There's a bunch throughout the entire thing. I mean, Connie and Matt and myself and Jason and everybody. There's just a ton of Jeff. Jeff worked on this long sequence that I think people are going to I really enjoy it. But I mean, I can say that about anybody's content, so I should just stop.
Well, and that's exactly like you said. It's a team effort pretty much across the board. I mean, everybody's put in so many cool things.
Yes.
So I am kind of curious about your 11 words, though. It was like I remember those.
It was when we had the special event UI for the Heart of Thorns announcement, and we had to like make sure that it didn't break the fourth wall. So it was like, tune in, we couldn't even say tune in because that was too modern. It was like join us for an announcement that will shape the course of Tyria's future or something.
Oh, that's right. The Heart of Thorns announcement
beautiful
experience.
11 words.
Thank you.
I'm
I mean,
tearing up.
I'm real proud of those.
The whole Heart of Thorns announcement experience was. Oh my gosh.
It was magical.
It was an experience that I will never forget.
Absolutely.
we were talking about that over the weekend with some players. I was like ugly crying at the side of the auditorium the whole time. And I noticed there was like a camera guy panning around. And I was like, don't do it, don't do it. This is not a color I normally am. And there's a lot of eye makeup running right now, and it's not okay. And like my shoulders are shaking, but I would not have changed anything. It was pretty great. The Path of Fire announcement was amazing in the same way. I was talking to a couple of players from Spain this weekend. They were live streaming their reactions when we announced Path of Fire, and they were saying that they just started screaming when we announced the launch date, and it was exactly what I hoped for.
Yeah, that was a really fun moment here because I was in this room actually helping kind of push the buttons to make sure that we were streaming in all 4 languages simultaneously.
Thank you.
So we're kind of closed away. It was like Mark and myself and a couple other people pushing buttons. And I was really focused on the mechanics of it because obviously you don't want to like push the wrong button and like suddenly we
don't even say it now. I know it's over and it was fine, but don't talk about it.
So I'm like really focused on like watching the countdown that was going on. I'm like 3, 2, 1. Okay, push this button, and it didn't really click for me that like our announcement was now live until you hear this roar from the 5th floor because we had everybody up there watching. And everyone up there is just losing their minds because the announcement has started, and it sunk in for me then that like, oh, this is happening. This isn't just me pushing a button. This is us sharing this with everybody now.
I had that at my desk too because we were getting the videos out on our social media channels. Every time Mo was like, hey, and mounts, and the Crystal Desert, and Ramon and Stephanie and I were like back and forth, okay, German video's out, French video's out, Spanish video, and my hands were shaking so hard that I was scared I was going to push the wrong button too. And hey, we just tweeted the English video on the Spanish channel, go me! And it was the same thing. I know that roar that you're talking about. Everybody was screaming, and I just froze. And oh my gosh, it's happening! Yeah. It was pretty much great.
So besides Webby, what's the thing that's in the game because of you?
Both of my dogs that we saw pictures of earlier are in Fire Island.
Oh yeah, they were so cute.
There's researcher Ula, and there's it's like because all the script pirates have weird. They're like second to the last to the third mate. Bows is short for Bowser.
Cute.
Those are probably the only two like personal things. Webby's there. Yeah, those are like the big ones.
I've seen Researcher Ula, and I saw your dog's name, and I still didn't put it together.
Oh yeah,
until just now. That's awesome. That's so cool that you got to do that.
Yeah. So they've been in I think every game I've worked on actually.
Seriously?
Cool.
Yeah.
That is
well since I
such
got them. Yeah.
Have you ever run into somebody who's like, "Oh, you named your dog after this one thing from this game," and you're like, "No, it's the other way around."
No, none of them were that big of characters. I actually technically my dog Ula is a canonical part of the Star Wars universe now because I worked on a Star Wars game that is canon, and there's a Wookiee named Ular.
Aww, I love that. That's awesome. Oh. Well, thank you guys so much for being part of our 5th anniversary celebration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I was just looking at the clock and realizing that we've gone on for a while, but it deserves it.
Can I turn one question around on you?
Let's find out.
I want to know what your favorite employee story is.
Oh, that's not scary.
Yeah, because like you run these live streams. I was curious if there's been like, what is your favorite like thing?
I can't tell.
Mark's background is sobbing.
I can't tell if Mark is laughing because of how unprepared I am, or are you laughing because you're thinking of something?
Mark, do you want to come out here
trying
and
to
share your
decide
story?
in my head. No, because I don't know what it is.
Oh. No, we're not telling about that. Nope.
But you know what he did? We're not going to tell that story. No. But he did remind me of on the Heart of Thorns launch live stream when Hugh made me play the Jelly Bean game.
Any more detail?
The Jelly Bean game. Is it called Bean Boozled? I think. So there's this game where there's a hair in my face. There's this jelly bean game where you take a spinner and you pick a jelly bean color, and there's this big box of jelly beans, and like it might be pear or it might be boogers.
That sounds like a horrible game.
It is a horrible game. And so Hugh brings it to the launch live stream, and he sits down, and we're well into the night. I've been doing this for 3 hours now, and I'm just like, I don't want to play this. And he's, now come on, try it. And I was like, all right, let's see what happens. I did not get pear. So we're live And I just like made this the worst face I have ever made, and I just spat it into my hand before I could stop myself. We're live, and it's in my hand, and it's just like this mass of awful. And I have like doubled over, and just it looked like I was about to be sick. And Hugh is dying. It's the funniest thing that's ever happened to him in his entire life, and I'm pretty sure gifts were made that day. And he just was so not sorry was the thing. So yeah, that was.
I mean, that's probably exactly what he was hoping for.
Yeah, I think it was pretty much what everybody but me was hoping
flavors
for.
in there.
I think
Just-
probably
yeah, it was
entirely
Ray
I don't
Began.
think anything in that box tasted good. But then we went to PAX the next year, and we saw that like that game at the top of an escalator had a huge booth at PAX, and I just almost turned around and went right back down the escalator. I was like, nope. And they were like, yeah, you can totally come and play if you want to. And I went, I do not want to.
I have played that game.
Yes, I did not win. I lost. So there you go.
Yeah, right,
that's
a good one.
Yeah, it was funny. That's the best thing I can say about it.
1,000-yard stare. It was funny.
It was. Don't play the game. I don't recommend it. So yeah, there's mine. I'm sure there's others, but Mark was laughing so hard that that's the one that I immediately thought of. Yeah. So, you know what? I do have a player encounter story that I want to tell that was pretty much awesome, and it was the essence of what I absolutely love about our player base. At our PAX party a year or two ago at the bar that I forget the name of, even though we're there every year.
Gordon Biersch.
Thank you, at Gordon Biersch. It was like getting to the end of the night, and you know how tired we are at that point, and I was like, okay, we're almost done. I have a drink ticket, and I'm just going to get a cocktail. And I ran into a player, and she was like, I didn't get any drink tickets. I went, okay, here's my drink ticket. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to pay for a drink at this point. I don't, we're closing up in like 15 minutes. I don't have to drive, so I'm going to have a cocktail. I almost make it to the bar, and my hand touches the edge of the bar, and somebody taps me on the shoulder. And I was just like, and I turned around, and it was a player, and so I'm like, hi, what can I do for you? And I'm thinking, and she's just, I don't know, she looked very serious, and I was like, uh-oh, something's gone wrong. It's okay, I will fix it, but I'm so tired I want to cry. And she said, I just saw your staff shirt, and I wanted to tell you, I just wanted to see an ArenaNet staff person and tell them thank you, because I had major surgery last year, and I was bedridden for 6 months. And Guild Wars 2 was my connection to the outside world. And it was the thing that kept me sane while I was stuck in bed. And it was, playing with my guild and talking to my friends. And now I'm like, didn't even want to drink because I'm crying.
You're like, I just need a tear or a glass to just collect my tears.
Yeah, and she was like, and I just wanted to know if I can hug you. Yeah, you can hug me. Yeah, and that right there was like, okay, this is exactly why I do this.
Yeah, that's why we do what we do.
Yeah. So it was absolutely perfect. So thank you. And she was much better, and she was in really good health and good enough to come out and party. So that was the perfect ending to the evening for me.
Did you get your drink?
I didn't want one after that. No, I just sat there chatting with her for a while, and then it was time to clean up, and I was like, I feel about 1,000,000 times better right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was awesome, and I love every single encounter like that. So thank you guys very, very much. We will let you guys get back to work. And thank you guys for spending a couple of hours with us to help us celebrate 5 years. We will see you next time on Guild Chat.
The all-powerful elder dragons had woken from their slumber, corrupting the land of Tyria. Now, heroes from the 5 great races of Tyria must set aside ancient rivalries to face the elder dragons together or die apart. Enter the world of Guild Wars 2, a vast realm of great beauty and terrible danger. From the frozen Shiver Peaks to the steaming Maguma jungle to the wonders of Ratasun, Tyria cries out for heroes. Will you answer the call? Your Guild Wars 2 story begins when you create your character from the 5 playable races. The humans, a noble, proud race surrounded by enemies. The Char, masters of warfare and conquest. The Norn, heroic shapeshifters from the frozen north. The Asura, beings of small size and great intellect. The Silvari, a mysterious new race of plant people. After selecting your race, you'll choose from 8 professions, each with their own special abilities. Warriors, experts with long-range and close-quarters weaponry. Elementalists, spellcasters who harness the elements to defend and destroy. Rangers, versatile adventurers who rely on deadly aim and loyal animal companions. Necromancers, practitioners of the forbidden arts of death. Engineers, ingenious inventors who create helpful gadgets and lethal devices. Mesmers, magical duelists who wield illusion and deception like weapons. Guardians, defenders that protect their allies and smite their enemies. Thieves, agile masters of stealth who strike from the shadows. When you're ready, you will enter Tyria, a massive, ever-changing world filled with stunning vistas, fantastic creatures, and dynamic events. Because these dynamic events evolve and change depending on the actions of players like you, each time you log in, you can find something new. Your heroic journey continues in the chapters of your own personal story. This unique, customizable adventure changes and branches with every choice you make. No 2 players will have the same experience. Take up arms and engage in intense, hard-hitting combat against a vast range of fearsome adversaries. Dodge out of the way of incoming attacks. Combine forces with other players to deliver devastating combo attacks. Take advantage of environmental weapons and commandeer siege weapons. You can even challenge your fellow players in competitive player versus player matches. Or wage war against hundreds of other players in epic world versus world battles. Guild Wars 2, it's a living, breathing fantasy world. A deeply customizable role-playing experience, innovative gameplay, and intense combat. All with no subscription fee. Guild Wars 2.
is time to come home. All will serve the jungle dragon. We serve no one. Commander, there's something I have to tell you. I went into the mists after my sword, but I found something else.
Refugees are pouring in from Alona.
If he kills an Elder Dragon, Tyria will never recover.
They cannot stand in the glory of Balthazar's light.
I will right this wrong.
I just can't believe one of the gods gave up on us.